Oh, don't
Uh,
we not professionals? We just us.
Let me see if I can put my Cash App stuff up there.
Hey, I got all my stuff charging. I get to use my microphone for tonight.
Oh, is that what you were showing me? That's
Yes,
a
I'm
that's a
excited. I've never used a microphone.
man. That's a nice one. That's a nice one.
That was a gift from old Unfiltered Lucky.
You know what, Nina? I got my first mic at a pawn shop, and that damn thing was better than this one that I got right here. I
It's
paid
a
thir- I
what is
paid
it? A
30.
Yeti? Is it a Yeti?
I don't
No,
know.
the one that I've got. Because
Oh,
it's
I don't
something like
know.
that. Because I thought Yetis were coolers.
I don't know. It's a nice one though.
Yes, I was very appreciative. You remember my flip phone that I had that broke, and I
Yeah,
couldn't do videos or anything? He
yeah.
actually sent me that microphone and a laptop,
Well, that was nice of him, bro.
so I could keep doing videos.
Well, there's my Cash App. If anybody want to, if you anybody want to share the love, and Nina has her stuff on her channel. Like I said, as far as Nina's concerned, I know Nina's trying to get Nina want to get the funds for the kennels, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her one bit. That is a good idea, and that's a good way to give back. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gage, like you said last night, sometimes people don't realize that as an addict, the only consistent constant in your life could be that furry companion. And
Right.
when you're already thinking about giving up the drugs, you don't want to think about giving up your furry companion too. That's like a double hitter.
Well, you're right on that. I mean, I've had multitudes of people say I'd love to go into treatment, but you
But
know, but I can't leave my dog by themselves. Who's gonna
and
feed
don't
my
get me
dog?
wrong, what I'm about to say, I'm not saying that it's always an excuse, but if we can start eliminating excuses, we can start saving people.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's a good thought right there. That's a very good thought. I think it's a good idea. I mean, if I could give more, I'd give more for you.
You have done plenty.
You know,
It's like I tell everybody, if you can't monetarily, share it out, tell about it, talk about it.
I mean, I think it's a hell of an idea because I've never thought of that. I've never thought of that, but I've always heard. You know, some
Yes,
people
Jeff,
won't.
Blue Yeti.
Some people won't go. They won't go to treatment unless they have um their animals taken care of.
Well, I know I had a guy that was in Lubbock, Texas, and he wanted to go to rehab and he wanted completely away from, to where far enough away that he couldn't get back to anybody. So I
Yeah,
had it lined up for him to go to Louisiana, and so he could take his dog. I was like carpooling him to Louisiana, like somebody take him 2 hours, drop him off to somebody else until we could get him there. And so the day that it was going to happen, one of them bailed. Well, when somebody bails like that, it's like, okay, back up, regroup. We got to get somebody in the middle, you know. And it was like, well, just put him on a plane. Well, I can't just put him on a plane. He's got a dog. I mean, and
yeah.
sure enough,
I mean,
we lost him because he was like, I'm not going without my dog. And it was so sad because he gave that opportunity up. And about 2 weeks later, she got ran over. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, and did you know that I'm so sad now because now I realized I haven't heard from him.
that's terrible. I'm trying to situate us where
Oh
we
yeah,
can
and I
share.
sent you some. I sent you three 30-second videos for tonight, tomorrow, sometime or another.
Okay. Did you watch that email I sent y'all? I
Well,
sent
I
y'all.
tried to open it, and then you said you'd be back at 2, so I didn't know if you was playing it on here or tonight.
Yeah, I'm playing it tonight. So
Okay.
you guys check your emails if you're a mod. I sent you the short video so you'd be versed on it by tonight. So, but here Nina was telling me she sent me this link earlier, and I don't know if y'all watched this, but um, God, you're still small, still
Oh, that's
small.
okay. I don't mind being small.
Well, we'll
It's the
make
only
sure
time.
that
Shoot, why did I hit that?
what
I
you
hate
hit.
that little. I hate that little dollar sign in the comments.
Oh, yeah, I do that too.
You
You know, yeah, I'm not monetized, so if you do want to if you want to I don't know what you'd even call it. I don't want to be one of those people to say, you know what,
if you want to
it's not
support
a
Gage's channel,
yeah.
if you appreciate the work that Gage does, if you think he does good research and presentations, his links are right below.
Okay. All right. Because I don't want to I mean, honestly, I'm not good at self-promotion like that.
See, that's how I
Because
am.
I
See how easy it was for me to do it for you, but I can't
yeah,
do it on my own channel.
yeah, it's not easy for me to ask for anything. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because I've always been one of those people that if I need something, I'm going to work hard to go get it.
right.
If I can't get it, then that's the good Lord's way of saying that I don't need it. You know what I mean?
Well, there's some people that think that, if you need a couch that, God will give you a couch. No, that's where you're wrong. God will
Yeah,
give you a way to get a couch.
right.
Maybe
You
go
know,
mow a yard or, something like that. But he will not just give you a couch in your living room.
shoot, I've shared stories on here that I've, slept on dumpster couches, that you find at a dumpster. We toted that bad boy back home and, we slept on that. I'm not too proud to say that I started off small. And, sometimes that's the route that I had to take because if something was just given to me, I didn't appreciate it. Being an addict, if something is just given to you, you're just gonna take it for granted. You're gonna be appreciative, but you're gonna be like, okay, well, let me ask for it again. Let me ask
Right.
for it again. You know what I mean? It's like,
Or you're not going to take care of it.
right, right,
Or you're going to pawn it.
right. So, like you said, last night we were doing the Brian Nenton stuff, and I've yet to go back and listen to that. But he had a lot of great insight, and I listened to this earlier. Ashley does have a lot of she kind of rehashes a little bit, but she brings up some stuff about Brian that I thought was interesting
Yes, mother.
because
Yes, father.
yes, because we've always said that, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, Brian seems to be having issues with his parents.
Yeah,
And the
mommy and daddy issues.
yes, and the fact that, well, let's let Leslie, damn, Leslie talking about me. Let's let Ashley um tell it.
Anfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. It's been almost 3 years since 4 University of Idaho students were slaughtered inside their home at 1122 King Road. And it's been almost 3 weeks since Brian Koberger was sent off to the Idaho Maximum Security Institution to begin serving a sentence for the rest of his natural life for committing those murders. But tonight, we've got some new details about what Brian Koberger may have said while he was inside that house as he was carrying out his slaughter, specifically which victim he may have named. We also have some information about what Koberger was doing right after the murders. Spoiler alert, he called his mommy. He called his mother within 2 hours of butchering those kids, and he didn't just call her one time. Wait until you hear how many times and how many hours he spent on the phone with his mommy right after stealing those kids from their moms. And thanks to digital forensics and an expert duo who was tasked with analyzing Koberger's phone and his
I wish they could have found out a way to decipher what the hell those conversations were about.
She reads a couple of them.
Well, I know the text message, but I'm just saying, as
Oh, you
far as,
mean, yeah, the vocal ones?
yeah, especially the long one. I mean, do you believe that he didn't tell her, or that he didn't, you know,
You
she,
know,
I'm not trying to spoil it for anybody, but do you believe that honestly that he
I do
didn't
not
say
think he told her.
no?
I don't think he told her. I think that he could have been setting it up to where I told you they were going to blame me, Mom. You
Okay.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mother, I may be in trouble. I was in an area and something bad happened last night.
Okay. I can see that. I can see
Yeah,
that.
where he's setting
Okay.
it up.
I wouldn't. I haven't ever. I haven't even thought about that. Like I said, I listened to this and I started snoozing, so I didn't even get all the way through
Well, that's
here.
not a good thing.
So here we go.
Electronics, we have learned some very creepy details about Koberger and his relationship with his parents. It is all very unsettling. And frankly, it is giving Norman Bates in the movie Psycho vibes through and through. And we've just discovered some amazing details about what these forensic analysts found and what they did not find in his electronics that the rest of us all have in ours. Like, you will not believe the number of contacts Brian Koberger had saved on his phone. I don't know about you, but I have upwards of 5,000. I use my phone for everything. I use it for work, and I'm a journalist. I've got contacts coming out the yin yang for 35 years, 38 years. Who's counting? And I'm guessing you have hundreds, maybe you have thousands as well of contacts in your phone. Brian Koberger, you could fit every one of his contacts into a Sprinter van. Also new, we're learning about a book that Koberger owned and passages that he highlighted on page 118. And let me tell you, it's very, very informative about who he was and what he was thinking. And it takes the story to an even darker place. I am going to get to all of that in just a minute. But first, quick thank you to all of you for supporting my channel. You just know I couldn't do this without you. So I am very thankful that we have this. I'm thankful to the viewers.
Ashley does a good job. I've always enjoyed listening to her, no matter what people say about her, or mispronounce her name, and call her names and stuff like that. Oh my God! Look who just showed
Yeah, I
up in the
know. I just
chat.
saw that. Hey, look, though, I love her on her own channel because I don't know if you watched them a couple of weeks ago. I think I put some clips on my community post where she's dropping the F bomb and calling him a MFer. And I
Yeah,
mean, it's like, whoa, come on, Ashley, show that other side.
yeah. I mean, and they have stuff to say about the pro burgers, or that other side. I didn't mean to drop that stupid name, but that other side that goes against the narrative. You know what I mean? Let me ask you a question, Nina. While I got you on panel, um, for a long time, and then I'm gonna continue playing this. I'm not trying to get off kilter here, but while I'm thinking about it, do you believe that he has an alternative plan while he's in prison? Is there some big plan that Brian's gonna inoculate, and say, well, this
No,
is what I'll.
his biggest plan right now is going to be to unalive himself.
Okay. So you think that, if he does anything, that's probably what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, at first I was doing the squares of, the prison justice of whoever gets to the closest date wins the kitty.
Right, right.
But now, after watching the video of him just sort of standing there in his cell and I didn't feel sorry for him. And I hated that he had a window. I was like, damn it, he's got a window. I mean, but I think right now, if he makes it, I don't think he'll make it 6 months. And that's him doing it
People,
to himself.
people were saying that wasn't prison, that was the county jail. What do you think about that?
Well, I have a picture from Ada County that says, nope, not ours.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I mean,
medical
it's
medical
literally
unit.
from them. They have put it out to the public. We know of the pictures, and no, it is not ours.
Hey, so intake, diagnostics, wherever the hell you want to call it, it's still prison. You're still behind the wire. You can't just get up and walk away. So you minimize wherever the hell this picture was taken. He's still locked up. He's still in a cell. He's not in the La Quinta. He's not, at a day spa somewhere.
I
I
guess the
heard,
reason that I guess the reason that I believe it's prison is because they talked about the TV being in the cage.
right, right. I don't know why they do that there. I mean, but in Texas, you get your own TV. You can put it on your desk, and it's clear, and it's one of those. It looks like the old computer monitors, the brown looking ones. That's what
Right.
the TV looked like. You know, so that one looked pretty little, but I mean, who knows? Regardless, he's locked up. He is not free in the world, and regardless what the bed looks like, what the toilet looks like, what the floor looks like, all this stuff, that is indeed Brian Koberger. That is
Oh yeah.
indeed an inmate. And those pants have numbers on them on the side. Those are not blue jeans. He is not wearing street clothes. He is not just meandering around in a hotel room somewhere with a green screen. He is in prison. So people can live in their delusional lives, but he is in prison and he is going to stay in prison. So
Well,
let's go on
there
here.
was so many people that was like, okay, if I ever find out that he bought a K bar, that'll do it for me. Well, they found that out. It didn't do it. Then it was like, well, if I find out there was a blah, 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 that'll do it. Well, they found that out. And now it's, if he doesn't appeal, I'm done. Well, we'll wait and see because, dude, he ain't appealing.
He's not appealing. All
If
that
he
would do,
appeals, it puts him right back where he started, and you cannot put the genie back in the bottle.
right, all that does is restart the whole process all again. And the big thing that they've been worried about all along is the public seeing and reading all these documents and seeing the videos and all this other stuff, tainting the jury and getting a fair trial. So, what damn sense would it make to wait 2.5 years, do the Danny Rawlings shuffle, plead guilty, and then all of a sudden say, okay, I'm going to chance it with the people really knowing all the information out there? That'd be the
Right.
stupidest move ever.
And then a lot of them are like, well, maybe he did it so the feds will come in and take over. Dude, the feds are not going to come in and take over. You're sitting there with over 100 years that you're going to be in prison. Why are they going to waste their time?
Right. Take
Now,
over
if he
for
got
what?
found innocent or something, they may have swooped in and done it. But they're not going to spend their money to just say, hey, look, we can do this. The only way they're going to come in is if they find somebody that he killed in Pennsylvania or somewhere like that.
And I'd hate to break it to people's bubble too, but the Innocence Project is not going to take up.
That's not even optional.
I know. Hold on a second. Let me finish my statement. I hate to break it to people, but the Innocence Project is not going to take this case. The dude pled guilty.
He didn't plead guilty once. He pled guilty 5 times.
This is not a wrongful conviction where they're going to waste their money, they're going to waste their time. Come on. The Innocence Project is still working on Stephen Avery. They're not going to bother with Koberger. I hate to break it to
Oh,
people. I hate to break
No,
it to people, but that is the reality. That is the reality. And people don't want to see that. They don't want to hear it. They want to just live in that fairy tale world where the bad guy wins sometimes. No. The bad
look,
guy is not wronged by society. He's usually wronging society.
when you got 30 reports being read, like was weird read last night,
Hmm.
I mean, come on, y'all. It, I don't care what anybody says, there's this common denominator thing, and I live by that. If I'm having problems with 10 other people and I'm the common denominator, I may be the problem.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. If everywhere you go, there's a problem, just like she said, you got to take a look at yourself and ask yourself, hey, is the problem me? Well,
And
guess what?
here's the thing about it is I don't think it's a problem for him.
It didn't look like a problem in those videos, did it?
No, I think the problem are the people that are wanting pro burger hamburger stands.
A lot of people are just like, well, he's doing well, and I'm so happy to see that. Are you a moron?
Bless his
Do
heart, he's
you?
having a hard time sleeping.
But yet, when it comes to the four, because that's what they say out of one side of their mouth and then the other. On one side, they say, well, we want justice for the victims. But on the other side of their mouth, they're saying, well, we want an innocent man let go. How does that even connect the dots? How does that even connect? It doesn't. It won't ever. If for some reason this man is innocent and they find out 20 years down the line and I still have a show, I'll be the first one to come up here and say, you know what, all this shit I talked, I guess I didn't know nothing,
Exactly.
you know? But you know what? All you people that wanted his innocence, not one of you donated to a GoFundMe to get him a better lawyer. Not one of you. Not one of you donated or started a GoFundMe to get him a better lawyer. If you thought that certain lawyers would have got him off being, a
Used and
convicted
abused.
a convicted murderer, where was the money? Come out your pocket. Put your money where your mouth is. Ain't nobody gonna take at this point it's over. It's just comical what we're doing at this point, right, Nina?
Well, here's the thing about it is what people don't realize is when he pled guilty, they don't have to furnish him a lawyer anymore. It
Right.
ended that. So if he wants to appeal and he wants to fight and he wants to start over, then he has to get somebody to do it pro bono, an innocence project, or something like that, or get all of his pro burgers to sell a bunch of fuzz burgers and, stuff like that, and get him a real lawyer because the state's not responsible now.
Ain't nobody gonna do it. Ain't nobody gonna do it. It's easier to sit here and talk about his innocence online like he cares, you know?
Right.
Thankful to the listeners and the followers. And I also couldn't do this without sponsors either, because they really do make this podcast possible. Like Morgan and Morgan, a company I've partnered with. If there is anything that this podcast, Drop Dead Serious, has shown me, and maybe even shown you, it's that the world is pretty unpredictable, right? And having a good lawyer is a very smart move. And that's where Morgan and Morgan comes in. It's a firm with over 1,000 attorneys. Let me tell you, they win a lot. They win a lot of their cases. Just check out the statistics. In the past few months, Morgan & Morgan has secured a $9.3 million verdict for a car crash victim in Florida and a $5.6 million verdict for another car accident victim in Atlanta, not to mention the $1.8 million in Kentucky after insurance offered a mere $5,000 in the case. Look, even if you don't think that your case is worth millions, why not start a claim and find out what it might be worth? At the very least, you should be fighting for what you deserve.
There we go. Let's start
Morgan
a
and
claim.
Morgan makes it extraordinarily easy. I'm not kidding. You can start a claim right from your phone, and you can do it in just 8 clicks. So if you're injured, start a claim. Take a peek. Just go to www.forthepeople.com/Banfield. That's www.forthepeople.com/Banfield. You can click on the link below too, or you can scan the QR. The expert duo.
I'm going to start a claim. For 2.5 years, my mind has been warped by this damn case.
Who led the team tasked with examining Brian Koberger's phone and his hard drive. And they discovered that less than 2 hours after the murders, at 6:13 a.m., Koberger picked up his phone and he called his mommy. But there's a twist here. There's a really weird, like I said, Norman Bates-like twist here, and I'll have more on that in a minute. But remember, Koberger's white Elantra was seen on surveillance video tearing out of that neighborhood where 1122 King Road.
You know, supposedly the DoorDash driver said a tan sedan. Did people ever wonder that maybe his white Elantra could have been dirty? With kind of like it was when he got pulled over in Indiana? And at night gave it a tan looking demeanor?
Do people not realize that those street lights could have been the older street lights, not the real bright, what are they called? Fluorescent or whatever, that they have, some of them have like that yellow tint to them.
People want it to be a green Elantra. It's always been white. I didn't see
I could
no
come
tan.
closer to it being tan than green.
But I did, yeah. I mean, it could have been dirty. It could have had, all kinds of stuff on it, slush, whatever. I'm no car expert, but I'll tell you that was an Elantra, and this wide-eyed, googly-eyed killer did it. And to call him a little boy, he is 30 years old.
And called his mommy afterwards.
He is a full-grown man. He was 28 years old whenever he committed these crimes. People say he doesn't look like a killer. Does he not look like a killer to you? Hell, by his own admittance, I would say, you are a quadruple murderer. Would you not, Nina?
Like I said, I don't think who and what he is a problem for him. I think he accepts it.
Based on the 9 complaints by the females where he worked,
9?
they gave him,
9? I think we heard about 30 last night.
Well, it felt like 30, but there was 9. Based on the 9 complaints, they found his ass creepy. They found him to be a mansplainer, whatever the hell that term is, where you're just downing somebody and you're trying to overpower them and always be right. Look right there. He looks like he just wants to jump out of his seat and go whoop somebody's ass, or at least try. As long as she's a woman, he could do it. Don't let there be a man in his sight, because he's in trouble then. Kind of like some of these creators on YouTube. They'll go after women, but when it comes to a man, they ain't got shit to say. Maybe because they're women inside themselves. They ought to just come out and say, I identify as a woman.
It's like a bat out of hell. That was at 4:20 a.m. So again, less than 2 hours after he's
and has more balls than Brian.
Slaughters 4 innocent college kids. He's calling his mom. Now, we have seen some of the details and motions that were filed by the state and the defense leading up to Brian Koberger's trial, a trial that, of course, never happened because he just went ahead and pled guilty. But here's what's new. The Barnards, the digital forensics team, said that Koberger's digital breadcrumbs showed that he had a strange way of referring to his parents. For one thing, he saved them in his contacts as mother and father, not mom and dad, the way most of us do. And okay, maybe that's not so weird. But what is bizarro is that those are the same names he used to talk to them and text with them.
Okay, let me take a poll right quick. How many in the chat, if your parents were still alive or if they are alive, how many of you have them saved as mother and father in your phone? And if you watch this on replay, please answer that question as well. How many of you have them saved as mother and father? Mine are mom and dad. That's it.
The male part is dead and the female part is incubator.
There you go. So you don't have her saved as mother?
No.
No. So
But what gives me is sister.
yeah.
It's mother, father, sister. I wonder if
Given that,
that's sister 1 and sister 2 or if it's just sister.
that is just like identifying labels. You're not really a person, you're just an object.
Exactly.
For example, here's a text that Brian sent his dad. Father, why didn't mother pick up when I called her? Think about that. You're texting your
That's
dad and you're
creepy.
calling him father and you're referring to mother. Why didn't mother pick up the phone when I called? Again, it just strikes me as Norman Bates from the movie Psycho. And I don't think I'm the only one. In any case, those digital breadcrumbs also revealed that when Brian Koberger called mother at 6:13 a.m., he didn't get an answer. So 1 minute later, he called father. And the Barnharts say that this was actually a habit of Koberger's. He would call mother first, and if she didn't answer, he'd call father right away. And he would go back and forth like this. And here's another actual text. Father, why did mother not respond? Why is she not answering the phone? It's just bizarre. Well, eventually that morning, mother did answer the 6 a.m. calls, and their conversation lasted 36 minutes. And not long after that call, he called mother again. And this time they talked for 54 minutes. But here's where it gets so dark and so upsetting and just frankly so incredibly weird. Those 54 minutes that he was on the phone with his mother the second time, again, first time, it's just 2 hours after the murders. The second time, those 54 minutes overlap with the time that Koberger was driving back to Moscow, back to the King Road murder scene. Do you remember when we were in the change of plea hearing for Koberger and the Latah County prosecutor, Bill Thompson, said that the killer spent about 10 minutes back at the crime scene right around 9 a.m., right? At 9 a.m., it's still real quiet. The roommates are still downstairs in the basement. They do not know what's on the second and third floor of the house. They do not know the bloodbath that has happened. They think some weird stuff happened that night, but they have no idea that a quadruple murder happened. At 9 a.m., it's quiet in the neighborhood, at the house, but Koberger is back there. He's back there. And I think we all know why, right? Really good bet. He's back there looking for the knife sheath that he now knows he left behind. And oh shit, that thing is going to lead right back to me. That is a colossal mistake. That is worth me risking going back to the scene of the crime in the bright and early morning hours. Wow. Talk about unbelievable balls. Or
now looking at that hand, does it not look swollen as shit?
I hate that picture.
That is his left hand, right?
Yes.
People will say, well, it could be inverted. No, it could not. Most pictures are like that. I'm no expert, but you know what? The only way that they're inverted is on
But
you
the thing about it is, if it was
on
inverted, it
Facebook.
would be inverted back from the mirror.
Well, wouldn't it be his? It would show his right hand, right?
But
He
what
would
I'm
totally.
saying is, a selfie will invert sometimes, but he's in a mirror, so it would invert from the mirror too.
Yeah. I mean, there are just some people have all kinds of excuses for every little thing, and it's annoying to say the least, isn't it, Nina? Have you ever been around people that you can say the sky is blue with white clouds, and they'll
Yep, I
say,
left one about 5 months ago.
"Yeah." Does that annoy you?
Oh yes, so yes.
How
It was
about
like,
y'all? How about y'all, chat? Does that annoy you when you say when you make a statement and somebody says, "Well, wait a minute. You say this, but what if this? Or
what's
what
that
if
Phil
that?"
Collins song? That Phil Collins song, I say black, you say white.
Yeah, yeah. There are people stopping in to say, to lurk a little bit. Why don't y'all hit the like button? Put some stank on it before you take off, you know?
Oh, Jeff, that's a good idea. Men's shirts button on what side? The overlap. The buttons, the women's,
The
we I
button's
already,
always on the right side. The button's always on the right
so
side.
it's not inverted.
No, no. So that solves that, right? Because that is indeed the button is on the right side because it goes under the little slit.
Unbelievable fear. But he's on the phone with his mother. At the time, he's going back to the place he killed the kids. All I
He's
keep
like,
thinking about,
Mother, I let a
all I
friend
keep
drop
thinking
my knife
about
last
is
night and lost the sheath.
what
You
did
got to help me
mother hear
find
in the
it.
background, right? She's on the phone and he's skulking around that property. And we all know now what he did, right? He went up the side road, parked in that back parking lot area, scrambled down the embankment, and went in the back sliding glass door at the back of the house.
Every time she says back, I hear backpack.
And went out the same way
Oh,
he came in. So he's thinking, maybe, God, I hope, did I drop that sheath outside? Will I find it outside? God, please let it be that I dropped it outside, not inside, because there's no way in hell I can go back into that house. I left some.
So I could see him going in the second floor, but you don't think he went to the third floor again? Once he left it, you think it was too brutal to see again? Because wouldn't he have seen it? She's saying that she doesn't believe that he went back into the house.
you
But
know
if
what
he
I
went,
would like to know is if he washed his hands so insane like he does now, or if he's trying to wash the blood off.
that's a good thought. That's a good thought. Because his hands are always red.
Oh my
Every
gosh.
photo that you see,
They said
he's
he went
always.
through 3 bars of soap washing his hands.
Well, Melissa loves to eat skin, so there's plenty of skin cells for Melissa. Melissa, if you're watching, we miss you over here. Come on back.
But that's the first thing I noticed last night in the prison pictures was the redness of his hands.
Yeah,
And I mean, they've always been red, but they are blood red. I mean,
yeah.
and I've sat there and I've wondered, because I don't remember them being that red, like in the car and stuff like that. And all the pictures and stuff, I mean, they've always had like a pinkish tint, you
Yeah.
know? But I've wondered if some of the insane washing, because I mean, even though he is a psycho, I wondered if maybe the mentality of the OCD is like, get the blood off my hands.
Well, at one point we got to stop labeling everything. You know what I mean? Like at one point we just got to call a spade a spade. The
Yeah,
dude,
psycho.
the dude had a lot off. I had a grandma that used to like when she used to get mad. She'd go into that little bathroom. Remember back in the old days, they had that little bathroom on the side of the kitchen? Well, she'd go in there and she'd start scrubbing her hands, and the hot water would be going, and she would come out. Her hands would be redder than shit, but it was almost a way of self-soothing, so she wouldn't explode on me or anybody else. She would be washing her hands as she's talking to you, kind of calming herself down. Not saying that that's the same way that he did it, but after a while, we got to stop attaching every little thing to this dude. He would just his
Psycho.
elevator didn't go all the way up. His hamsters died a long time ago on the wheel. You know what I mean?
Well, those girls alive. So he's skulking around. Mom's on the phone, and the leaves are crunching under his feet, and the twigs are breaking. It's November. It's fall in Idaho. Snow is falling, actually, periodically in those days. So is mom hearing all the crunching, all the walking around? What's he telling her? What's he telling her? Why are you outside? Where are you, Brian? What are you doing? Oh, I'm just out for a walk, Mom. In the place where I slaughtered 4 people. Anyway, what are you up to? What are you and Father up to? Here's what I really believe. I'm a mother. I don't think that he told her anything about what he'd done. Because as a mother and as a father, I don't think there's any way in hell they wouldn't have been on a plane that day out to get him. Instead, it was almost 6 weeks, I think, until Dad finally flew all the way to Idaho to drive all the way back with him. And if
I
your
agree with
kid had
that.
told you anything of these horrors, you wouldn't just wait 6 weeks and drive out to pick him up. I really honestly believe in my heart there's no way that Mrs. Koberger was being told anything of substance. Maybe she's being told that he's feeling off or upset, or he needs comforting in some way, or he's agitated or something, whatever the bullshit is he fed her. She definitely thinks that something's wrong, because how could you be normal? How could you be at all the same person after you commit that kind of a horror?
Because you don't have
Anyway,
a soul?
so the digital experts, the Barnharts, say that Koberger is still on the
What'd you say?
I said because he doesn't have a soul?
Oh, pretty much. But no, he was a freaking choir boy, Nina. They just plucked him out of the blue, just like I used to tell my clients when they
He
tell me,
was a
well,
choir boy in Lucifer's choir.
you know, I wasn't doing anything. All I did was this. All you did was break the law by manufacturing and delivering over 4 ounce or over 4 grams under 100. That is a crime. All you did, well, all he did was kill 4 people. That's the way
Oh,
people look at it. All he did was kill 4 people.
Gage, you got to read Jeff H's comment and then the other one below it.
I saw that one. I saw that one. That's hilarious. I'm slaughtering the competition.
with
Uh-oh.
his mother at
Yeah, we
9
got some
a.m.
good ones going
and that the
on.
call lasted another 9 minutes.
And he wasn't there
So
but
he was
9
at that
minutes.
house skulking around for 9 minutes with Mom on the
There's no
phone.
way he could have done that in
Calls
9
his mom
minutes.
within 2 hours of the slaughter. Calls her
Yeah,
again while returning to the crime scene in the morning. Got to imagine, like, what is going through this guy's head? What's he in need of? What comfort does this monster need from mommy or mother?
I believe, and this is my belief, I don't know crap about autism, but it's my belief. He didn't give a shit what the reason was he called mommy. He didn't feel none of it other than the elation of the blood and watching these people die. Because I had
I don't
heard
think he's autistic.
very early on, I had heard that he was infatuated to the point of fascination on blood. So I did a live on that. Remember I did a live on the blood, and he was fascinated with blood.
Well,
So the fact
there's
that you
actually a
said like,
psychiatrist that says that he thinks that's the reason he chose veganism.
no telling. But the fact that you said last night those drops looked like he stood there and watched. I would have never really envisioned that, but that was hardcore to say the least. To sit there after you're done and admire your work while the knife is dripping blood and not even
And
giving a shit.
it's in the doorway of both rooms. I sent you the two pictures.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you believe that he sat in a chair, or do you believe that he didn't?
No, I do not believe he sat in the chair. I think that he stood in the doorways and watched each one of them take their last breath. Uh, and I think as he was leaving, maybe he stopped off before coming around the corner and took off maybe his coveralls and wrapped the knife in it. And I think that's what Dylan saw was the bottom end of the K-bar that was cylinder, and then the triangle was the tip of the blade, and I think it was upside down, wrapped in his coveralls.
Well, slow down there, Speed Racer. One thought at a time. Okay, so if he didn't sit in the chair, do you believe that he knelt down next to Xana after she hit the ground to make sure she was gone and then left?
You talking about the second time he killed her?
Yeah. Well, the second time that he made sure she was done.
Oh
When
yeah,
you hear the whimpering, when
I
you
think
hear the
on these.
whimpering, go ahead.
I don't think he knelt down beside anybody.
Okay.
I think he stood there and admired it and said, "Fuck y'all."
I mean, I believe that it was nothing more than a acted out scenario in his mind that he believed he was smarter than everyone and that he was not going to get caught.
Yeah, I don't think he felt anything except pride, exhilaration, and adrenaline.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and for all the people, nobody has anything to say about this lady right here. Knowing all that she's known for this long, she fought tooth and nail to make it seem like he was innocent. Nobody says shit about Ann Taylor.
I
Nobody.
will say that she is a fantastic lawyer.
Whoa.
She is a, now hear me out. She's a fantastic defense lawyer because I don't think she has a soul.
Well, remember the time. Well, Ann's gonna get him off, and this and that. It's her job. You're right, and I said that last night. But they built her up and put her on a pedestal so hardcore. She knew everything that the prosecution has been releasing in these documents. They acted like she was clueless and she didn't believe that he actually did it because she put her hand on his shoulder and said, "My client is innocent." GT what? GTFOH.
That's called faking
And
till
that
you
wasn't
make it.
all. Two more calls came later in the day. A 2-minute conversation he had with his mom at 4:05 p.m. And then another call at 5:53 p.m. And guess how long it lasted? 96 minutes, an hour and a half, almost 6 o'clock at night. And this call is an hour and a half. And at this point, the news is already broken, right? You know that the shit hit the fan in Moscow. You know that the news is all over it. You know that Pullman, Washington, and Moscow, Idaho are just alive with the reporting of the Truman Capote styled in cold blood murders that have happened just off of campus. So it's now big news, and Brian knows it. He's seeing it. And he's calling his mommy right before 6 o'clock. By the end of the day, the same day that those 4 young lives were cut short in the most brutal and sadistic ways, Koberger and mother had spoken for over 3 hours. And in case you're curious, the digital experts said they could find no text messages with friends. They found no social plans on his phone, no chatter with anyone outside his family, just a benign group chat. That was it. Here's the really big piece. According to the digital experts, Brian Koberger had only 18 contacts saved in his phone.
How many of you in chat? This is the participation portion. Y'all get ready. How many of you in chat have more than 18 contacts in your phone? The way she makes it sound, it's like Brian had a damn flip phone. Nina, do you have more than 18 contacts?
My God, yeah.
I don't know anyone that doesn't have more than 18 people in their phone. Walt says, even I do. Rondi says, I do.
He
I
needed.
bet
He
every
just needed one of them little. Oh, he just needed one of them little old folks' phones that has like 15 minutes on. No, because he talked 3 hours to his mother. And you know what pisses me off about that?
let's hear it.
There's four mothers that never got to speak to theirs again.
Yeah.
While he's spending 3 hours the same day on the phone with his.
Right. After he took their lives.
Right.
So to sit here and say that to have 18 people in your phone is not creepy, it's not weird. I know probably 9-year-olds that have more than 18 contacts in their phone. You know? If you don't see the signs that are just saying this guy is not quote unquote sociable, not like everybody else, then that tells me you are a very biased person. And the fact that you think that, you might be just like Brian. You
Jeff
defend
beat it by one.
you defend a killer, you might be a criminal. Jeff has 19. Wow.
That's what I
Way to go,
said.
Jeff.
He beat it
Way to
by
go,
one.
Jeff. Good thing I added you and you added me, right? That put us at 19.
But the thing about it is, if you go back and you look at everything, the inverter. How many people have really thought about the two inverters that he bought?
That's a good thought, Walt. I'm guessing his best friend Willie wasn't in his contact list. No, unless he's under the pseudonym of Hare. He had somebody just with the pseudonym of Hare. I mean, back in the playa days, I used to say girl from McDonald's, girl from Red Lobster, nice
I had a
booty,
I had my,
whatever.
one of my drug dealers was Jeff Black because he was a black guy.
Right. I mean, so it's not un uncommon to give people names, but you know, Hair. That's wild. Could that have been Kaylee?
Right.
I don't know. That might have been Willie. We don't know.
18. You just imagine that 18 is your whole social circle.
We're
And some of his
discussing them.
contacts were people that he hardly even knew, if at all. Didn't even list them as a name, just kind of like a description, like somebody I ran with, someone with the hair. The Barnhart said that Koberger's digital data showed that he had sometimes called his mother as early as 4 o'clock in the morning. I talked with this forensics team on my
Who
News
wakes
Nation
up at
show,
4 o'clock in the
Banfield.
morning and calls their
Big
mother?
shout out to News Nation and the amazing team I work with. We're on at 10 p.m. Eastern. So if you ever get
At
a
28
chance,
years
please check
old.
our show out. And here's what Heather and Jared Barnhart had to say about their work on Brian Koberger's Samsung phone and the rest of his electronics. Our conversation was Absolutely fascinating, to say the least. Have a listen. Heather and Jared, thank you so much. Wow, I have wanted to talk to you guys for a couple of years now. So, Heather, let me start with you. He called his mother.
Hold on, let me move.
You look good in a dress.
Yeah, I was noticing that. I can't handle that. I don't identify as a woman. Let's give Heather her props.
Within 2 hours of the murders, he called his mother as he returned to the scene of the crime, not even 2 hours later. He called her 2 more times and all told spent 3 hours on the phone with her. Was this out of character? Was this a binge of calls to mom that you were able to identify on his telephone?
This was his normal behavior, reaching out to mother and father repeatedly. If one didn't respond, he would reach out to the other. He would constantly text them and call them, starting as early as 5 or 6 in the morning, his time. And his parents were Eastern. And then also at night to almost talk him into going to sleep and being able to rest.
So, Jared, as
Can
I
you
was
say
looking at
soft
some of the text
kitty?
messages, I was so, I don't know, I was just jarred by the way he referred to his parents. He texted them. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the wording is pretty close. Father, why is mother not answering the phone? Why is she not picking up, father? He called his parents formally by the names father and mother when speaking to them. Did you see that consistent throughout his text messages to his parents?
Yes, I did. It's eerie. It stands out from any other case that I've worked in that, just the terminology, the phrasing that he used there. I said exactly what you said in the intro. It's Bates Motel. It is this feeling of that movie and Mother, and it's just super eerie.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe I'm the only one, but I'm starting to get that vibe from you, from my colleagues, from people I've been talking throughout the day about this. Some people do use a formal name, but knowing what he's capable of now, knowing who he is, it just raises the hair on my arms. About the contacts in his phone, he called his father and mother as contacts in his phone. But what about other contacts, Heather? What about other text chains, other communications? Did this guy have any community of his own?
He had 18 personal contacts. 18. So think about all the people you meet and the hundreds of random numbers. And they were even identified as girl I ran with, second girl I ran with, a contact and in parentheses, hair. But then there was mother and father and his sister and just a few others. 18.
And he's in his 30s. Like this, that's unbelievable. In this day and age, it is not unusual for people to have well over 1,000 contacts, many thousands of contacts at this stage in our lives. Everything is on our phones. Everything's digital. What about text chains? Did you see any communications with other people other than mother and father?
Not really. No, it was. I couldn't name a single person that he communicated with other than just his parents. There was some one-off communications here and there, and there was some emailing and other things. But for texting, if you think of the friend that you sent a message to on a whim, there wasn't one single person like that.
And I know that we learned during the final hearings before he was sent packing.
I have a question. So the text messages that we've seen to that Martinez guy, was that on his old phone?
Let's see, there's one where he is talking to him on Messenger. So I know at one time he had Facebook.
Okay.
Because one of them is actually on Messenger.
Because that one that I showed, apparently.
And remember the girl that she drove him around not knowing that he was getting drugs?
Yeah.
That was on Messenger.
Okay. So, but the one that I showed was a screenshot and it said Brian at the top and it obviously was talking to Martinez. I wonder if that was on his old phone.
Oh, I don't know, but if anybody ever goes to Willie's channel, he was talking about how close him and Jeremy Saba was, and I need to have somebody ask him where Brian Koberger was when Jeremy Saba died, because Father says that he was not in town when he died. I would like to know where he was.
Wow. Wow, that's a good question. Let's continue on.
To the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, that he had done quite a job at scrubbing a lot of his devices. How good a job, and how were you able to get past some of what he thought he put over on you?
This was one of the hardest investigations I've ever worked in 23 years of looking at digital data. He cleaned up well. He knew how to use VPNs. He knew how to use incognito browsing. Where he messed up, downloads on his Android device. He also didn't consider the fact that even on a PC, if you delete, every contact leaves a trace. So we can see the files when you turn something off. We can see when you clear something. All of that was left behind for us.
Let me ask you this. The handshakes that we now find are so helpful in digital forensics when killers don't realize they're connecting to a Wi-Fi where they're not supposed to be. Did he have a lot of questionable digital handshakes, like say at the Mad Greek restaurant where two of the victims worked? Did you see anything that was of interest or evidentially helpful with his digital handshakes?
Yeah, I'll break that down sort of with two parts. So his Wi-Fi connections, there were just a few. And the interesting part about this is 2 days prior to the murders, he turned off Wi-Fi for his phone. So he just didn't want his device to be able to connect to Wi-Fi. It turned back on soon after the murders. But there was one reference to Mad Greek, and it came from a passive assist file associated with Google Maps. So if you open Google Maps and you search for restaurants near me, if you're near Mad Greek, it would populate, and that reference was then logged on his phone.
And then the other question I have for you is, we just looked at that selfie. We had it up on the screen.
So I'm behind on all this. So that shows the correlation of where he possibly met Maddie and Xana. Or at
Well,
least one of them.
I do have to say that the way that they just broke that down, okay, the way that it was put out to the public was that it connected to Mad Greek's Wi-Fi, okay? It did
Right.
not connect to Mad Greek's Wi-Fi. It would be like if I looked for a restaurant on Google Maps. It was in his Google Maps, but they said that because he was near the restaurant at the time he searched it, that it populated like that.
But also, if you look at something, it stays in your search history. Like I could go in my
Unless
search
you're doing
history.
all that stuff of scrubbing your phone and stuff like he was.
Oh yeah. But let me ask you this: if he did look on Google Map, wouldn't they have been able to see the map if he used the map to get to the Mad Greek?
Right, exactly.
Oh, I stumped her a little bit. She paused.
I did.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that, like you're in a new town, you're looking for certain food restaurants, you either look up on Google or you look up on Google Maps. I usually use Google and then go from the map there.
Here, here's the thing about it. I watched a little short today, and it was as a matter of fact, I saved it. And it is a piece of an interview with Thompson. And this is the one part that's aggravating me about these interviews is if you believe in your investigation, stand on it. Okay? You do
Right.
not have to be politically correct now. If you've got something to say, you can say it. There's no gag order. He's in prison. He's guilty. It's done. It's over with. And they're still being so precautionary of making sure that well, we can't prove it, so we can't say it. But in that little short that I watched today is talking about the shadow in the back of the yard and about Kaylee and stuff like that. And you can tell by watching Thompson that they know he was stalking them, but they
But
will not come out and put it out there.
because look at the liability of that, though. If
What
she,
liability?
but honestly, if she reported that to anybody and they didn't follow up on that, and then they get killed by supposedly somebody that was stalking them, and they can somehow put all that together, that's a liability. You can sue the city of
I was
Moscow.
sort of like the college professor that says he's going to grow up and be a sex offender.
Yeah.
That's pretty
See,
powerful stuff to me.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't want to come out and say that blatantly because then he's opening himself up for lawsuits because they can say, okay, well, he knew.
Right,
Kaylee
right,
reported Kaylee reported this. If there's any kind of trail that she reported any kind of stalking to police, and then he comes out and says, "Yeah, we knew that he was stalking her." You know what kind of trouble that's going to stir up?
right,
I mean, people say that there's corruption in this case, but you have to think deeper than the surface. There's a lot of different areas that could lead to it looking like corruption, but it's really not. I mean, if you know certain things, you might be trying to cover them up in a monetary fashion. You don't want to get sued. You don't want to say something that is not necessary or that could potentially open a can of worm for you if there is no uninvestigated leads on that. Like if nobody investigated her stalking stuff, okay? Let's say that they knew she reported somebody. They didn't take it serious. They didn't report or they didn't investigate. And now she gets killed 6 months
right.
later. You don't think that that's going to be a liability if that call or that report is somewhere in the police station? You know?
Yeah, I can see that. Now, Dolphin does say that the Mad Greek was a passive Wi-Fi connection.
But we don't know whether she reported that or not. We don't know if that was reported. I've heard so many different statements on that. I don't know what to believe anymore. I really don't. Because the only guy that really talked about the stalking was the guy at the vape shop. You know,
Right?
we agree to disagree, right? But that's the only guy that I've ever heard talk about the stalking. Everybody else has kind of dismissed that and said, "Nah, there was no stalking." And even in the court hearing, he stood up and said, "No stalking." But yet, everything we've been reading, there's all these mysterious signs that do kind of add up to they were being surveyed.
Oh, they were being messed
You
with.
know?
He was messing with them.
Yeah. I mean, and one thing people have to understand also is anybody in law enforcement, they could dilute the truth. They're not culpable for any of what they say. So everything he's saying right now, people are jumping on that and saying, "See, he said there was nobody in the house or nothing connected Brian to the murders and blah blah blah." Okay, well, if that was true, then how did the knife sheath go back to Brian? You get what I'm saying? It's like they're just taking everything as a definitive, concrete piece of evidence, and it's not. I mean, I heard he said that. I heard the interview, but he didn't come out and say it like that. They
No.
misphrased his words.
Oh, yeah.
People misphrase a lot of these people's words.
Now, I watched an interview. Well, the Brian Enton, did I send you the Brian Enton and the Fixler interview?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll have to send it to you because it's really good, and it does clarify some stuff. They never watched him take trash to the neighbor's trash can. That was a lie. They never saw him cleaning his car with bleach. That was a lie. And the stops in Indiana were actual looking for drug dealers because he had an out-of-state tag. Had nothing to
Okay.
do with the FBI or nothing.
Okay. So if that's factual. That's not against the law. It's not against the law for law enforcement to put stuff out there that is not the truth unless you're presenting that as evidence in court. Like if that's part of the discovery and you say he went through the trash, but yeah, you don't have, and you're going to talk about that in court and there's no evidence, then that is, that's perjury.
Right. Well,
But,
actually, what happened was that it got started through like social media and stuff, but because of the gag order, law enforcement couldn't defend it.
right. But you get what I'm saying? Like if
Right.
you say, well, we know that it was him because we had him as early as this time. Well, you have the evidence and you put it in discovery, then you have to make it all make sense. You have to make it all add up. But if you just make that kind of like when Ann was saying, my client is guilty or innocent. She was saying innocent, my bad. She was saying my client is innocent. She could say that because she was still saying that she didn't get any of the discovery that pointed him as being potentially guilty. So that's not against any kind of law or anything like that. The law enforcement can lie all they want to get confessions, all this other stuff, but they better have solid evidence that they're going to bring in court against a certain individual. Otherwise, it is a thing that is not. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Nina's quiet. What the hell?
Took within hours of the murders. He's freshly washed and he's got the
I
thumbs
take
up. He
picture.
looks like he's in a bathroom and he looks extremely proud. Were you able to ascertain anything about that photo? Did he manipulate the photo? Did he screen grab it bigger? Did he rest on it for hours or minutes? Did he send it to anyone? Did you see anything of interest about that picture?
So this photo jumped out to us right away. And I remember us asking the FBI at the time, have you seen this? And they said, yes, we found that already. We're like, okay, but look at his knuckles and how white they are. To us, it looks like someone that scrubbed them and had to get something off, maybe blood or some kind of residue off his knuckles. Also, the Band-Aid on his finger was there in that image. You can see a shower curtain. In later images that he had taken, the shower curtain from his apartment was gone. So just small details like that, but we didn't see.
What?
I knew you and Jeff would like that.
Yeah, man. What? Jeff H has been vindicated. Oh my God. There was no shower curtain. Let's see what he did with the shower curtain. Jeff H, if you're in here.
He didn't have friends to send this to. And I don't think it's a photo that he would have shared with mother or father. We didn't see any manipulations or access to printing. So it's almost as if he did this and several other selfies of similar nature, but with fewer clothing for himself.
Yeah, it was normal for him to take selfies and do nothing with them.
Did she say
They
fewer
weren't sent to a
clothing?
person.
So this sorry to interrupt, but let me be clear. We've only seen this selfie on the morning of the.
To send this.
Was there any peen pics? Is that what you're asking?
Did she just say fewer clothing?
Hold on, I'll rewind it.
Look at his knuckles and how white they are. To us, it looks like someone that scrubbed them and had to get something off, maybe blood or some kind of residue off his knuckles. Also, the Band-Aid on his finger was there in that image. You can see a shower curtain. In later images that he had taken, the shower curtain from his apartment was gone. So just small details like that. But he didn't have friends to send this to. And I don't think it's a photo that he would have shared with mother or father. We didn't see any manipulations or access to printing. So it's almost as if he did this and several other selfies of similar nature, but with fewer clothing for himself.
Yeah, it was normal for him to take selfies and do nothing with them.
That's a
They weren't
visual
sent
that
to a
is
person.
don't get in my head now.
Sorry to interrupt, but let me be clear. We've only seen this selfie on the morning of the murders. Did you find other selfies that he took of himself, either in the bathroom or elsewhere, the morning of the murders or that day?
No, not the morning of the murders. Just in general, his selfies that he would often take like flexing his muscles and shirtless. But again, we have no idea what he did with them. It was just a photo that was taken, and there's no evidence that he was sending them to anyone. It's just kind of for himself.
I
What
need to
muscles?
see the muscles.
According to other creators, he is frail and unable to have any muscle tone whatsoever.
Remember, he doesn't
So,
even have dexterity, much less muscles.
right. Oh, damn, I was flexing, but almost fell over because I don't have the coordination to take the selfie and pose at the same time. Maybe you should go and take lessons from somebody on YouTube about posing. What do you think? She just
Oh yeah,
said
there's a whole lot of posers on YouTube.
they said that he didn't send it to anybody, Leslie.
He didn't have
These
anybody to send it to.
these are the people that went through his phone. I think that came from YouTube.
He's sitting there going, "Eat that up, Ted Bundy. Look at
Right.
you, Danny Rollins.
Look at
Y'all are
this muscle.
nothing.
Look at
Y'all are
this
nothing."
muscle. Look at this. No, Leslie, put that to bed. That came from YouTube. That came from YouTube. Nobody ever said he sent that to mom and dad. YouTube
Oh
jumped
no,
on
that
that.
was the big excuse. Look, Mom, I was able to button my top button.
Yeah, YouTube said that.
Those people that Leslie's supposed to be grounded from.
Oh, Leslie loved listening to those people. It's good. It make for good entertainment. That's about it.
Hey, I admit,
Well,
I
the
started
bandages
listening to
that you
some
noticed
of
on
them.
his left, I think that's his left hand, unless the
Me
photo is
too.
reversed. But someone in the class also said in police documents today that they noticed he came to class shortly after the murders. And of course, they don't know about the murders. They're just looking back in hindsight to October, late October. And they said he came in with his two middle fingers bandaged and said, oh, he had just had some accident inside his home. One last aha moment that the two of you had, Heather and Jared. He said that his alibi was that he was going to be out stargazing that night, out in the middle of the night, stargazing. But you found something about the phone that would have absolutely obliterated the alibi. Can you explain that?
Sure. Yeah, it seems silly to even write it. But on the night of the murders, he physically pressed the side button and turned his phone off. And that might not seem too significant, but it really is, because it proves that this human was awake at 2 whatever in the morning and turning his phone off and then later powering it back on. And the crazy part was writing in a report that a phone can't take photos while it's powered off, but just to prove that his alibi was ridiculous. But he turned his phone off, and then these people were murdered, and then he turned it back on. That's what happened.
And the thing about it was they said that he turned they said that he turned his Wi-Fi off. He turned his location off. He turned his Bluetooth off. Total and complete blackout. Manually pressed.
Hey, just wait till Sirade shows otherwise. Sirade's
Oh,
gonna
fuck, Sorry.
show.
Sorry.
Sirade's gonna show that he was nowhere near, or that he was near YYY Park. Just wait.
Sorry. Where
Wait.
are you, Sorry?
Wow. Wow. That would have blown everything up right there. If Sire wouldn't have wrote that kind of egotistical
Oh, you mean that
verbiage,
conspiracy theory?
yeah, then possibly he could have been called to the stand to kind of counteract that statement that this gentleman just made. But since he wanted to be arrogant,
It was
he
a
would do.
complete manual blackout.
Yeah. So all the people that have knowledge and tried to shame and guilt us into believing that we were idiots because they knew better because Cyril told you 5 minutes of something that he knows about, all of a sudden you're an expert and you're going to show the proof. I've never seen the proof. All I've seen is a bunch of mumbo jumbo word salad and cross skating backwards innuendos about everything else. And you know,
So,
whenever you call somebody on their stuff that they don't know what they're talking about, you know what the first thing they do? They start attacking you. How many
yeah,
times did that happen? How many times
well,
did that happen?
he was going stargazing at Wawa Park with a manually blacked out, turned off phone. A turned off phone don't take pictures.
Who is
There's
that
your
not a
boom.
is that not a boom?
And like Dolphin said, we've known that for months, but nobody listens.
Well, you know, Leslie, it's sad that you put those names to you at all. To me, you're just Leslie. That's it. You don't need to put labels on you to identify yourself any other way because those are negative names. They're not names to be proud of. I see you as Leslie and you're just good enough with that name. You know what I mean? So,
That's right, Leslie Billy.
Leslie and Billy.
No, it's Leslie Billy.
That's her last name, Billy?
Oh, I don't know, but to shorten it, I just always put Leslie Billy. So she is Leslie Billy to me.
Because, hey, do you remember when Cyril was talking, right, in the court hearing? And he said, this is how much I'm willing to say about this. And I can also hear other things that make me believe differently, right? Well, I guess he read something or he saw this part of it and said, I'm out.
Y'all, come
That,
on. Everybody should have seen the writing on the wall the day that he sat on that stand and he said, I reserve the right to change my opinion. And then he never showed back up.
that's almost as good as saying, you know what, if somebody shows me that this man is guilty, then I will believe it. That's giving you an out. That's giving you an out to say, okay, I think he's innocent, but if somebody shows me different, I have to eat crow for the world, then I guess I'll do it.
You know what? Give me some oil and vinegar and some crow, and I'll eat it all day long if I'm wrong. Okay? But if you want to talk about integrity as far as Syre goes, Syre is still watching these people that are taking up for him. Syre is still seeing how they're fighting for his integrity. If he had integrity, he would come on and he would say, y'all, stop. The man is where he needs to be. If you trust me and you think that I am this person that y'all say that I am, I reserve the right. I was wrong. Here's my crow. Time for y'all to eat it too.
If I'm gonna eat crow, that stuff better be deep fried in batter, fish, um, cornmeal, something. I'm not eating that stuff, you know, rotisserie style. But I'm with you. I'll eat that crow all day long, but it better be fried.
Right. But I mean, if he has all that integrity and he's all that in a box of chocolates, then, come on, go feed you people some chocolates because they're over there taking up for your butt.
But how many people knew about Ray until this case?
Well, I mean, I know that. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I totally understand where they're coming from because it's like, oh, well, Ray was okay until he went to work for the defense. Y'all, he went to work for the defense and then he reserved his right to change his mind.
I'm gonna put this comment up because it's a huge one, and it's gonna cover us up. Dolphin said Ashley Jennings said many months ago, we now know that he turned his phone off. And Ann Taylor sat right there and didn't say one damn word. They should have told everyone. That should have told everyone that it was true.
Absolutely. But it's like I've been saying, nobody listens. Just like, I did that live and that video on the inverters. Do you think anybody cares? Does
No.
anybody care why he bought 2 inverters?
No. But you know why he bought 2 inverters, right?
I sure the heck do.
Because it isn't about the real evidence. It's about what's in the background that makes the narrative work. You could see a knife on the bed, but we're not going to focus on the knife. We're going to focus on the little corner that has a speck of blood with no one around it. And we're going to question the hell out of that little speck of blood.
Exactly. Exactly.
Being kind of like somebody was saying that there's no way that was blood that was going down the back of the house. That, in their opinion, it was rust. Still pushing that dumbass narrative about it being rust. When you saw the crime scene photos and you spent multitudes of time on those photos, and you still are pushing that narrative that was rust. A
I do
narrative that was
believe it
put
was
out there.
rust.
You do?
I do.
I don't even want to know why, but it was not rust.
Do you want me to tell you why?
We agree to disagree on this one. It was not rust.
Wait a minute. You want me to tell you why?
Tell me why.
Why is because the biohazard team that went out and cleaned the biohazard cleanup after the crime scene, they left that on the outside of the house. There is no reputable biohazard team that would leave blood on the outside of a house in the open. It would have gotten scrubbed off.
Then how do you explain that when they swabbed that, it came
Did it
back
come
with
back as blood?
It came back at Ethan's blood.
How do you know that?
I've read it.
Where?
I've read it. I'll have to
Can you
show you
send me that,
receipts.
please?
I will. I will. I read that. That was Ethan's
But I mean,
blood that they swabbed on the side of that house.
well, now that I mean, and that's not doubting you or anything, but that needs to be put out there because that would. I mean, I stand totally corrected and will gladly eat fried crow.
Oh, now you're getting you fried crow with some hot cornbread, right? Hot
Yep,
water cornbread. Do y'all like hot water cornbread? I have never eaten that until I
and some
moved to
fried
Texas.
cabbage.
And some fried taters with onions.
No,
I
fried
mean,
cabbage.
okay, fried cabbage. All right. But yeah, I mean, I love hot water cornbread. It is good with jalapenos in it.
Well, and also he turned the phone off at 100%, so he could never say the phone just died. Phone was fully batteried up. Heather and Jared Barnhart, I cannot thank you enough for this interview. I could talk to you for hours and hours. I'm going to have you back as well. Thank you for helping us sort of sort through a lot of this. Really appreciate it. And something else that these digital experts have not shared before, on December 30th, that was the day that Koberger was arrested. On that same day, his phone pinged with an email.
Okay, hold on a second. Dolphin has been asking this question in the chat since she came in here. Did you notice what was wrong with these phone calls to his mother? Anyone? Okay. Tell us. Tell us.
I do
We
hope
want to
that she
know.
is not just going to leave us hanging on that.
She said, yes, I have. I have seen it. I just have been going with the chat. The chat has been flowing pretty good. I thought you were talking about the text messages, but obviously not. Tell us. I want to know. Corn or hot water cornbread, Nina?
Open the door. Open the door. Go. Go pick the pie.
She's, do you guys have the list that Ashley showed? No, we don't.
You're getting tired. You think it's time to run.
I'm gonna mute you. No, we don't have that. So let us know, summarize that so that I can put that up on the screen. His last phone call to his mother was at 5:56 p.m. on 11/13/2022. Okay.
And I know where he was.
Walt says, give Annie Potts her mic back. According to the PCA, Koberger went dark after the trip to Albertsons, etc. Just
And
come
I
up
know
here
what
and
he was doing.
explain it. Shit. I can't take the little bit at a time.
He went dark after 5:56 a.m. What was he doing? He wasn't talking to mother. He wasn't talking to father. He wasn't at home. He was missing. Now he only has 18 people in his contacts. So nobody knows he's missing because nobody cares.
Well, thank you for that, oh snap, Sharon. That's kind of you. That's very kind of you. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. He was dark from 5:36 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. How in the hell was he on a call while he was on the phone for over 90 minutes? Oh wow. You're fine. You're fine. Did you see that, Nina?
Wait a minute, I'm reading.
Okay, his phone went dark. She said, "Let me back up here. Hold on. There's your comment." She says, according to the PCA, Koberger went dark after the trip to Albertsons, etc. And then she says, he went dark from 5:36 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. How in the hell was he on a phone call while he was on the phone for over 90 minutes? If his phone is dark.
The only way that I could possibly come close to explaining that would be the time difference.
Okay. Well, I sent the link in the chat, so if you want to come up, you're more than welcome. We're having a good conversation, I believe. Don't you
Now
believe
the
so?
5:30 p.m. to the 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
That's where that's where the inverters come in.
So you believe that he went on a VPM and made the phone calls?
No, I think that he bought the two inverters and he went out in the middle of nowhere and he found an empty house that had been for sale and he pulled his car into a barn with no electricity. He plugged his inverters up to his battery and he turned his floodlights on and he got his steamer and he got his drill brushes and his enzyme cleaner and locked himself in a barn in the middle of nowhere in a deserted barn and cleaned his car.
Damn. Okay, let me take that comment down because it's hiding all of us. I was like, where are we at?
Yeah, sorry. And I was typing and I was just like, okay, wait, what I typed was wrong. I meant when he was dark, not when he was on the phone or on a call. But
And
yeah, how
where
are
is
you
Well,
guys doing?
Dolphin?
I'm here.
well, I don't see you on the panel.
I don't
let me
either.
It
let
says
me
I'm here.
add
That's weird.
let me add another panel for you. There you are. I heard you, but I didn't see you.
Oh, okay.
Well, welcome to the panel.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Dolphin.
Hey. So what was it? So Nina, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, your explanation, because see, here's the thing. They said his phone was not reporting to the network, to any
Right.
networks, right, between 5:36 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. And then that's the last thing they said in the PCA about his phone activity. It was like towards the end of the PCA, right? So if his phone is not connecting to any networks during those 3 hours, how is it that he called his mom 20 minutes after the beginning of that period and stayed on the phone with her for an hour and a half?
Okay, they did say 20 minutes after because,
Yeah,
see,
because
I
it's
was
5:56 in
okay
the list that she
because
put up.
the only way that I could possibly explain that would be that maybe it's 8:56 her time or something, maybe the time difference.
No, I mean the time difference, doesn't come into play because they're looking at his records.
Ah,
So forget the time difference.
well,
So
yeah. I mean,
they're
if
looking
he
at
did
his call logs and what's on his AT&T account and his AT&T records or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm like,
right,
wait a minute,
is that the 8458 phone or the other phone?
8458. Mm-hmm. Because that's all they've been talking about is the
Right.
8458 phone.
I'd have to. Yeah. Well, I mean that one. I mean that's the reason we do this is to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's interesting. So what you're saying is during that time when his phone went dark, he was supposedly making these phone calls to his mother. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
That's
Okay.
what she just put up on the screen earlier on News Nation and whatnot. I saw it last night because they were
Okay.
Ashley and Brian were busy churning out stuff, and Brian kept putting up shorts and stuff like that late last night, and then he would come back and he did a video this morning, and he did a video like earlier in the evening last night because he kept reading through the documents and kept finding things or whatever, right?
Right.
So, but
Right.
when I saw the list last night, I was like, well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. And I have the list. I threw it in my Discord because I was talking to, my peeps about it. Here's a list, screenshots from her. I'm just looking at it. I'm not gonna put it up. Um, so let's see. 6:13 a.m. call to his mother. 6:14 a.m. call to his father. 6:17 a.m. call to his mother. That lasts for 36 minutes. And by the way, 6:13 a.m., right? This is Koberger's time, right? He got back home from, the murders at like 5 something in the morning. So
Yeah.
what, 30 minutes, later after slaughtering 4 people, he called his mother. I was like, this is beyond nuts. Um,
Yeah.
so and he's on the phone with her from 6:17 till 6:53 because that's a 36-minute call. Then so that like, basically says like about what 7 a.m. he gets off the phone. Then an hour later at 8:03 a.m. he calls her again and talks to her for 54 minutes. So that is 8:03 to 8:57. Now remember, they said between 9 and what was it, 9:30, that they thought he went back to the house, right? So he was talking to his mom while he was driving back to the house. Because then
Right.
there's another call at 9 a.m. and he talked to his mom for 9 minutes. So that's 9 a.m. to 9:09 a.m. Okay. And I just said between 9 and 9:30 or whatever, they thought he was back at the house. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then
So
also,
she was saying that he was talking to his mother during that time
mhm,
that he was back at the house.
right, right. So then you got 4:05 p.m. He called his mother for 2 minutes, and then 5:53 he called his mother for 96 minutes. So 5:53. I thought it was 5:56, but yeah. Still, isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. What do you think about that, Nina?
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but if that's the facts of the case, then Ashley is either lying or mixed up.
So Ashley said this that or the two people said it that went through his phone.
This was from, let's see, it says 5 calls with his mother lasted 3+ hours. I got these screenshots from her video that said Brian Koberger called his mom repeatedly after Idaho murders. This is, and she had the interview with the couple from Celebrate, right? So she had to have gotten these times either from a report that she got from the ISP files that, they hadn't released at that time or whatever, or she got this information from that couple. But I'm like,
Well,
wait a minute.
let me ask you guys a question. I'm not proficient with VPNs or anything like that, but they said that his phone went dark, like you're saying. Well, is there any way to make phone calls? Maybe his phone. Well, she said it was off. They said it was off.
Did they
They
say
said
it was off or that he just went dark?
It was off during the murders.
Right.
okay.
They
Then he
didn't say
came
it was.
back.
They just said it wasn't connecting to the
Okay,
network anymore.
Yeah,
would
so
he
he
be
could have been
able
using
to?
a VPN.
So he could have been using a VPN to make these
No,
phone
guys.
calls.
No. Hold on a
No?
second.
No.
Don't bring a VPN into this about the phone calls, because here's the
Okay.
thing. You make a phone call, you are still connecting to a cellular network. If you make it, if this is from a call log that has to do with the 8458 number, if on his mother's end he called from that 8458 number and not something else like a voice over IP or whatever,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like an internet call, like a Google Voice or Skype or
Right.
whatever, if he called her from that 8458 number, then his phone hit a cellular network. You
But
see
you
what I'm
got to
saying?
consider too that he did have one of those numbers like DoorDash has.
Right, but that's a voice over IP that's being routed through something.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
if they're sitting here talking about his calls to his mother, and they're looking through his logs, his history, or his AT&T records for this 8458 number, then they're talking specifically about the calls made from that device. Do you see what I'm saying? Like legit cell calls
So are
that
we saying that
routed through a network.
his phone didn't go dark? Is that what the
I'm
point?
questioning it because I'm like,
Okay.
wait a minute, what the
Okay.
hell? Because it's in the PCA, and I've
Right.
told, we've discussed this with like Firefly and Danger and Salty, our little foursome, right? Like
Right.
way back
Right.
when, that okay, where did he go? Because he had started out, going to what was the place he couldn't get into? Not Sam's Club. It wasn't the other one.
Costco. Costco.
Yeah, Costco. Because remember, he tried to get into Costco, couldn't get in the door, right? Probably because he didn't have a membership. So then he goes to what, Albertsons, right? Now we find out, oh, okay, he got a pre-packaged Frappuccino. He needed that caffeine because the guy had been up all night,
Right.
I
Right.
couldn't believe we waited 3 years to
I
find out he
know.
bought a
That
Starbucks.
is a Frappuccino. I know. We were laughing yesterday, like, oh my goodness. Mm.
I
But
was expecting Band-Aids or bandages.
something, Yeah, because I was just like, how in the world is this man staying up? Because I can stay up, really late and go without sleep for a long time. But I was just like, Jesus, the stuff that he was doing. So, yeah, so think about it. Like I had always wondered, so he did Albertsons, Kate's Cup of Joe swinging by, their drive through or whatever for like seconds, and everything. And to me, it seemed like, wait a minute, did he move to the east, and when he went dark, like I said, 5:36 to 8:30, and then they never mentioned anything else because I was like, okay, so this is the evening of the 13th. Where was he? Right. And then we find out that he didn't show up for school, for class the next day. So the 14th. So, see, we always were wondering, did he go out to Montana because of what Christy Gonzalez had said, excuse me, about the Lolo Mountains, and that LE was going to do a search, told them that they were going to do a search out there. If you look at the map, the way that he was going, he could have still gone east. And the amount of time that, it took for him to go dark or whatever, or before that, or like the time before he went dark, he could have, started going that way. And then he was, gone the next day. So you don't know where he was. He was in the wind, basically. So,
But you got to consider with Montana, the Lolo Mountains, the soil samples on the shovel
Hmm.
is west, not east.
Well, right, right. Well, see, this is what I'm saying. This is before, and then I saw those soil samples, and the pollen samples,
Right.
which I don't know have if you guys have already discussed those, but the
No, we haven't.
arboretum. Um,
You can go ahead and speak on it. I mean, it saves
okay,
us the time.
thank you. The arboretum, that's to the west of the 1122 house, has those soil types. Had you guys already, Nina? Have you already looked?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, what I just stated about the house for sale that I picked,
Mm-hmm.
because it says it's red maple and burwood.
Mm-hmm.
The house is surrounded by red maples and burwoods.
Oh, okay.
So they just didn't, you know, Dolphin. I know you know, and Nina knows that whenever there's an investigation going on, they deep dive into everything. I didn't know about the soil samples until I was listening to this guy on another crime, and he
Mm-hmm.
was talking about how they went to the area and dug up the garden and got the soil samples after the body had been recovered or whatever, and they found that on the shovel. So, and then I got to thinking on this case, I was like, I bet they're doing the same damn thing with the soil samples, especially with the footprints leading out back.
Yeah, because
Or that tree.
the plastic shovel that was found in his car had dirt like uh, in the corners and stuff. And they did soil samples, and it had burwood, red maple, um, something about the pollen. I forgot what it was, but it was like if you went just a little east of Moscow, then that all changed and everything. I guess because of the wind and stuff like that from the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And so the house where, and the reason that I chose that house was I was watching Drunk Turkey, and somebody asked him to look that house up. And so then when I researched the house, that's when I realized that it had been empty for like years, you know. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, the inverters, that's the reason he bought the inverters. And the reason I know about inverters is from being on a semi truck for so many years. Is we had inverters so I could cook or we could watch TV or refrigerator or microwave, you know. And as long
Mm-hmm.
as he kept that car running, then the battery wouldn't run down. And he had the inverters, and like I said, nobody would, if they had not had his phone, nobody would have ever noticed that he was gone 14 hours cleaning his car because he didn't have anybody in his contacts.
Wow. This whole
Yeah.
case is, I mean, I'm glad that all these documents and how Brian Enton was reading them last night and everything. I'm glad that all this stuff's coming out like it is
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's given the pieces of the puzzle that many people have been asking for, and it's pretty cut and dry. There's no more kind of looking around the fact, just like what you just said, Dolphin. I mean, that's cut and dry. That's not okay. Well, let's look into it this way. Let's look into it that way. Let's question this. After a while, you have to just take it for face value as what it is. You know what I mean?
And that's what I always like about this channel is we welcome questions. We welcome, stuff that's being questioned. That's how we learn. That's how we go to putting other stuff together. That's how people like me and Gage and Jeff have set up till 4 o'clock in the morning questioning shower curtains.
Yeah. I mean, there's in the beginning of this case, it used to be like this. It used to be where you could go to channels and you could ask questions, and the questions were welcome. You know, but after the fact, it just got worse and worse. Dolphin, you want to stay up on panel to hear the rest of this, or are you
Oh,
good?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've
All
got
right.
time.
All right. Then let's listen to the rest of this.
Mail notification, and that notification read, new message from Reddit. Your account has been permanently suspended for posting violent content. The account name, criminology_student. Heather Barnard said that Brian had been posting in forums for ex-cons and prison inmates looking for volunteers to interview about their crimes. One user even messaged him directly, quote, "Saw your post on Reddit, still looking for volunteers?" It's not that we hadn't heard this before, right? We knew that as a criminology student, he was out soliciting all sorts of creepy questions about, tell me what it felt like when you're committing your crimes. What was very odd about it was that he was no longer a student when he was putting out that questionnaire. So was he just a student of life at that point? A student of taking lives at that point? But what a coincidence, right? That Reddit booted him off the platform the very day that his family home in Pennsylvania was raided and Brian Koberger was led away in cuffs. It makes me wonder if the news was so big, because I remember those headlines. I remember being on vacation and being ripped into a studio in Florida somewhere to do this news endlessly all day long, that there's been an arrest in the Idaho murders. Who the hell is this Koberger guy? I remember it so well. But since it was wall-to-wall news, maybe Reddit did a quick look. Maybe they said, yikes, let's make sure we don't have him on our platform. And maybe they found him real fast and pinged him off even faster. Because I can't imagine that it's just a coincidence on December 30th that, we just, weirdly found these very violent, postings. Bye. And interestingly, they weren't that violent. They were just, the musings and questions of what would be considered a normal criminology study. I think Reddit knew exactly who this guy was and wanted them the hell gone. I should tell you, we also learned a whole lot more new information from about 600 pages of new police documents that News Nation just obtained. And buried within those documents, something we had never heard before. You might remember one of the surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen. She did over a half dozen interviews with the police about what she saw and what she heard the night of the murders, when she was the only eyewitness to the shadowy figure all dressed in black with the mask and the bushy eyebrows. I have read all of her interviews with the police, and Dylan was remarkably consistent in all of them. But there was one statement to police that contained something different, something extraordinarily revealing, if Dylan's memory is correct. Dylan Mortensen told police that she heard Brian Koberger say the following: "It's okay, Kaylee. I'm here to help you."
Okay, so I'm going to ask you panel guests first, and then I'm going to ask the chat. Do you, in your mind, believe that that could be probable?
I don't know, because didn't they say that she thought she heard that from the second floor bathroom?
I don't.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I think Ashley has it mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer the question, I think somebody asked, "Are these docs out?" No, they're actually a FOIA report from Brian Enton.
Okay. So you got to pay for those, right? That
Oh yeah,
$2,000 one. Okay.
but I mean it's the 600 pages. That, well, he didn't go over the 600 pages, but it was a big drop and everything, and it is a 3-page interview. But she also states that that's what she thought she heard,
Right.
but nothing definite.
Well, I mean, we don't know if she was listening to music, taking those headphones out, caught the last end of the conversation, the statement. I'm not trying to defend Dylan, but there's a lot of
Ooh, yeah.
probable reasons that you only catch so much. I mean, how many of us listen to music, listen to podcasts, whatever, with an earbud in our ear? At least one of them. You have one in your right ear and your left ear is open to hear stuff. So if you're listening to something, supposedly she'd like to watch true crime stuff while she
Well,
went
see,
to.
she went to bed after watching Vampire
Yeah.
Diaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she even
Sure.
talks about that. She talks about, was it a violent episode? Was it
Mm-hmm.
because she's like, she's explaining to him, look, y'all, this is what I think I heard, or this is what I think I saw. But, I've even made sure, did I go to sleep after watching Vampire Diaries? Was it a violent episode? Was it a bloody episode? Something that could be messing with her.
Well, one thing people fail to inform their audiences about is we have a part of our brain called the hippocampus that allows our brain to not really erase, but to diminish the memory of short term memory and put it into the long term storage. So when something is heard, how many times, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, are you not as clear as probably a minute and a half after somebody asks you? So to be fair to Dylan, all of our brains do this. So that explains why the lack of clarity plus what she said as far as being intoxicated and all that stuff. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, but that doesn't sell.
Yeah. What do you call it? I think I don't know. I'm not, I guess, going to give her. I don't know. Every time I hear something about Dylan, let me put it this way. Every time I hear something about or Dylan from her or whatever, it makes it harder and harder to, I don't know, kind of like just push something to the side. Because you got to remember, Dylan, like Nina said, she had been watching something, earlier, right? Vampire Diaries, yada, yada. We were told that, they were all asleep or whatever. Now we're
Right.
finding out, not really, right? But then also remember this. She put a contact in her phone, a new contact in her phone at 3:51 a.m. Okay. So like
Okay.
9 minutes before this DoorDash, or actually 8 minutes before the DoorDash delivery, because that was at 3:59 a.m. So how asleep was she, between, what, 3:51, putting this contact in her phone or whatever, and when he entered the house and then all of the action started. And then
No,
also
I
don't
agree. I agree with you. I'll be the first to say I
mhm,
don't believe that she was asleep. I believe that she was in her room doing whatever because to be up and down that much, you
that's what I'm
cannot
saying.
be
That's what I was going to
asleep.
say. She
No.
also got
Yeah.
up and down, what, like three different times at
Yeah.
least, you know, in a
I don't
matter
think
of
her brain.
minutes.
I don't think
Hmm.
her brain allowed it to register what was going on.
Oh, I don't know what her brain what her to
But
register
I mean,
because
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you watched the episode that Gage did about the lady that this pretty much happened to her in the
yep,
90s.
I'm familiar with the story. Yep.
Right. And to where all the blood registered as vomit.
Hmm.
And you sort of have to wonder, is that sort of like something that was going on with Dylan?
So then what about the screams in the house and the furniture that got moved around and, all the loud thuds and stuff like that from
Oh, I'm
Xana's
So
not
room to the
saying that
right
she
around
didn't
the
hear.
corner?
I'm not saying that she didn't hear anything. I think
Hmm.
that maybe she didn't realize exactly what she was hearing. Does that make sense?
so
Yeah.
has that came out in the documents? I always wondered about the furniture being moved and stuff
The
like
furniture,
Well,
oh
that damn
gosh,
beer
it's
pong
in the
table ain't moved.
pictures. Yeah, it's in the pictures, but I don't remember anything now, like recently, out of those Moscow PD documents or the other stuff out of Pullman. I don't remember anything that says, "Oh yeah, the furniture was moved." But you see it in the pictures
Right.
clearly, and then that's
Right.
also what's registering on the 1112 cam. So
Right. I mean, none of us are vindicating or accusing Dylan or the other
no,
one.
and I'm not trying to accuse her
We're
either.
just asking questions.
I know,
That's
and I'm
all we're
trying to
doing.
give you guys an answer. Well, at least
Yeah.
my opinion of it. So I'm not
Right.
saying, what I said to, like say anything bad about her. But what I'm saying
Right.
is um, early on, remember that, they said that, she thought she heard somebody in the bathroom. So, like, my original question was like, wait a minute, was she talking about the second floor bathroom that she supposedly heard this coming from the second floor bathroom? Or is this something that she heard from the third floor bathroom that she thought she heard?
I was confused about that too. Like
Mm-hmm.
last night when they were talking about, the sounds from the bathroom, and supposedly she heard Kaylee in the bathroom or something. I've always,
Whoa, wait,
what?
what? Y'all just registered something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she said she made the statement that he had to have heard her screaming for Kaylee and the others, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that's what's come out
So
now.
if he heard her saying a name,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's the third floor bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and the DoorDash driver said that somebody was ducking their head up and down in the third floor window, and I made the statement last night that what if that was Kaylee that she did hear coming up and down the stairs, like to walk Murphy or something, and Kaylee was screaming, "There's somebody in the house," and Dylan is screaming Kaylee's name, and he hears her scream Kaylee's name, and then he goes upstairs, and Kaylee is coming out of the bathroom where she's been ducking in and out of the window trying to see what's going on, and he says, "It's okay, Kaylee," because he heard her say her name.
Well,
Mm,
that would all be determinate on the timeline, because when the DoorDash driver would have been there seeing that, was Brian even in the house at that point?
no.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
I
if
don't
he
even
wasn't in
believe
the
Molly,
house,
yeah,
then
saw what she saw.
yeah, I mean
Maybe
that's a
she saw
theory.
Santa
That's
at
a
the
theory,
second
but
floor window.
I don't believe he was in the house at that point yet. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There'll be a book wrote on all this stuff one
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Somebody will piece it all together, and we'll get to read it and be like, "Oh, damn, that's what it was." You know what I mean?
And
But I
what's going
like
to be
it.
so bad is it's going to be the simple stuff. I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be the salacious, I think it's just going to be A, B, C, D. This is what happened, and he left.
Well, that's what I've always said on all my lives. In the very beginning, I was saying, when we are gearing up to go to trial, I always was saying, hey, it's not going to be some, drama filled Die Hard movie. It's going to be something very quick, 9 minutes from the start of the vehicle going around the house to the end of the vehicle leaving. That's all the crime was 9 minutes or so. So everything after the fact would just adding to the circumstantial evidence. You get what I'm saying? That makes sense to y'all or not?
Yeah, I never had a problem with the amount of time or whatever.
Yeah,
I was never one of those people that was like, "Oh, it's impossible to, do that
yeah.
for people in that amount of time." So, mhm.
Because I mean that would have been the majority of the case would have been in the house, those two bedrooms. Everything else was circumstantial, trying to put this intruder in the house by all these other evidence that was collected, photos, videos, measurements, all this stuff. Wouldn't that? I sure hope that they, find the K bar someday. That would be interesting for me. I would like to see what shape that K bar is in. And call me morbid, but that's just me. Let's let's continue on. That kind of stole the air out of the room. I can see it. Let me continue on with Ashley.
When I read that, I had to look again. I thought that's a mistake. That's a typo. That's not what's been in all the documents leading up to now. But that reference in that interview to the police on that day, it's an actual reference to one of the murder victims, Kaylee Gonzalez, and the first time we're ever hearing that Koberger might have even known one of the students he killed. Maybe it means that Kaylee was the target, or maybe at least one of the targets. Here's what the document actually said verbatim. Quote, sometime in the early morning hours, redacted, meaning Dylan, was awoken and opened her room door and heard a male say, quote, it's okay, Kaylee, I'm here for you, end quote, and crying. She then shut the door. A short while later, she opened her door again and saw someone approximately 5'10" tall, dressed in black with a ski mask, standing in the kitchen.
See, where I have a problem with that statement, the first 2 times she supposedly looked out the door and didn't see nothing.
Right.
Okay. And then she heard there's someone here, right? Supposedly. This statement of it's okay, I'm here to help you was supposedly right before the 417. So if he would have said it's okay, Kaylee, I'm here for you, that would have been the first statement heard, would it not have been? Not the third, because that
Hmm.
was supposedly the last statement heard in the PCA. It's
But you know
okay, I'm
what,
here to
though?
help you.
So, but
Huh?
you know what, though? What she just said, this is coming from her initial interview, right?
Right.
On the 13th, after she's been sitting outside and they find out, that everybody in the house is deceased and all that. I mean, the girl was traumatized. So
Of
that
course.
very first interview, like, yeah, I think there's going to be some stuff in there that's just kind of like, because and if she's already kind of like, I don't know, brain scrambled, about all of
Right.
the different events and thinking about it or whatever, you know, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm gonna, hold her to like absolutely everything that was said in that very first interview while she's like so upset, you know?
I get that. But I was just trying to like the point of reference of the timeline is
Hmm.
according to the PCA, that would have been the 3 statements. No one, she opened the door the first time, didn't see anybody, didn't hear anything, shut the door, went back, laid
That was
down.
when she thought she heard Kaylee playing with the dog.
Yeah, playing with the
Hmm.
dog. Thank you. And then the second time would have been, somebody's here, right?
Hmm.
And then the third time was, it's okay. I'm here to help you. So unless those were very quick, you get what I'm saying? If those statements were made quickly in reference and they weren't as timed out as it appeared on written on a written record, then that makes a lot of sense. But as Ashley Benfield is saying it right now, it's sounding like it was said first. So we'll see.
End quote. Now, this could be a mistake, right? It could be a mistake that she made that was corrected in her later interviews, because every other version of her interview that she gave, we've heard Dylan saying that she heard a voice saying, quote, it's okay, I'm here to help you. But no name, certainly no reference to Kaylee. It's okay, I'm here to help you. It's okay, Kaylee, I'm here for you. Maybe the okay got mixed up with Kaylee, but the fact that Kaylee's name appears in a police document at all, that Dylan once told them she heard the killer mention Kaylee's name, I mean, it's nothing short of jaw-dropping, because otherwise we have no connection between Koberger and these kids. The police found nothing. That was the biggest revelation when the documents and the gag order, the gag order fell, the documents started to drop. We thought for sure we'd learn why. What was it? Why did he do this? Why did he pick them? Why did he go to that house, those kids? But they said they could find nothing. He was just too good at scrubbing. Something else we found out today. There's a piece of evidence that's been quietly stashed in the police evidence lockup. A book. The Idaho State Police, the lead investigator, Lieutenant Darren Gilbertson says that the book that they seized after raiding Brian Koberger's properties was heavily highlighted on page 118. Up until now, we never knew what the book was. We knew a book had been seized, but we didn't know what the book was called or what kind of book it was. And some of us had theorized, I certainly did, that it was the manifesto of Elliot Rodger, an incel spree killer who espoused misogyny in his writings. And maybe it was the inspiration for Papa Roger, although the police say no connection, just awfully coincidental. But the book they seized was actually a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's a book authored by Susan Jeffers, an author who's now deceased. It's a self-help book about turning anger and indecision into action. Lieutenant Darren Gilbertson told the Idaho Statesman that he doesn't know what Koberger underlined or what he marked in that book on page 118, but that the book is still in evidence. So we looked at the book and we turned to page 118 and we found an interesting summary at the top of that page. And here's what it reads. The knowledge that you can handle anything that comes your way is the key to allowing yourself to take risks. This is from a self-help book about turning anger and indecision into action. So was this Koberger trying to improve his life in a positive way? Or was this Brian Koberger working up the nerve to slaughter unsuspecting victims while they slept? One thing we can tell you for sure, Koberger was on a quest to learn as much as he could about pulling off the perfect crime. And there's a trove of new information about that in this new batch of documents obtained by News Nation. The documents show that even before the quadruple murders at the University of Idaho, Brian
I agree with that, Cal. I believe that he was already committed. I believe that he'd been preparing for this for a long time. What do y'all think, panel?
Oh, most definitely. He
Yeah.
bought the knife in March. The knife, the sharpener, what was it? The sheath and vitamins in March of 2022. Yeah.
So I've heard and I'm not trying to make this into a dirty show, but this was brought up in this case. Has there been any document talking about the sexualizing of his thoughts of any kind of sort? I mean, did he have any sexualized fantasies about killing people that
Nothing
they've
that I've
written
seen.
of? Nothing yet.
No, because I mean, there's
Okay.
nothing where they've like said, "Oh, we found journals that he's written or whatever, whatever." You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
nothing. The only thing, remotely close to that is when they mentioned the Google searches a long time ago,
Right. Right. I was just
what he
wondering
was searching for.
if they actually put on paper what it was, that would have tied to any of the victims or any kind of fantasy that he may have had about that.
Koberger was already setting off alarm bells in Pullman, Washington. That's where he was, of course, a doctoral student in criminology at Washington State University. Fellow grad students of his and the professors who were there, they've described Koberger as difficult in the past. We knew that. But this new information in these documents takes it to a whole other level. It turns out that the red flags were actually a crimson tide when it came to Koberger. One professor says that staff actually pulled her aside and asked her to check in on a female grad student because Koberger had been hanging around her in an uncomfortable way. Sometimes he would physically block the office door where several women were inside working. That professor said that more than once she'd hear a female student say, quote, "I really need to get out of here." And that professor would then step in the room, walk right into that office and give that student kind of an opening, to leave and to get out the door. And in class, Koberger was fixated, laser focused on burglars, and not just any burglars. He was obsessed with separating the regular kind of burglar from the sexually motivated kind of burglar. And then, almost like clockwork, he'd steer the conversation back to serial killers over and over again. Students and teachers all told the police that Koberger dominated every conversation he was in, that he had to dominate it, that he had to take over every conversation, that he made it uncomfortable for everybody around him, that he mansplained all the teachers, even to people who he would explain the research that they were actually doing. Apparently, he was so off-putting, people said they avoided being around him. He had 3 courses in his PhD program, 2 of them taught by women, 1 of them taught by a man. And obviously a pattern started to develop with Brian Koberger, that all the kids got together and decided to do a little survey because they noticed a pattern. Koberger was routinely late to the female taught classes, but never once late to the male professors' classes. So when they actually ran the numbers, it bore out. Never once late to the male professor. Late all the time to the women who taught classes. Some of the female grad students even reported to that same professor that when Koberger was not in class, they said, quote, "Oh my God, class was so much better today. It's just easier to navigate," when he wasn't there. The classroom was set up in a circle formation, and Koberger would always take the seat right next to the professor, always. That professor later told colleagues that she was genuinely worried that if he ever got his PhD, quote, he would be a predator. Let me just repeat that. One of Brian Koberger's professors was so worried that if this guy got his PhD, he would be a predator. And the other scary thing.
I mean, that's huge for your professor to think that about you. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that is something that you just don't overlook. You just, it's one thing to not believe his student, but for a professor to say that shit about you, I mean, that's something that's pretty strong. It holds a lot of water.
Oh yeah, and that's interesting that his WSU professors, caught on to that, like, and noticed things about him. But Catherine
Yeah.
Ramsland didn't seem to notice anything. Like, she was hoodwinked, and this woman is like legendary in this field.
Right, right.
I
You
just think
know,
that's very funny.
I mean, it's obvious that he did have that disdain for females, and you're right on that in the chat. His disdain for women was strong, like you said, Dolphin. It's obvious, and Nina has talked about that as well. A lot of people have. I saw your email, Nina. Um, you know, but I don't understand, and I probably do understand. I just at this moment am not really thinking it through. But how people cannot see that he had that disdain for women. How they just kind of put that in the back of their mind, and they say, well, he was just doing his job. He was just a teacher. He was just a criminology student. There was nothing creepy about him. People just mainstream media just hyped up this individual from day one after the arrest. Do y'all believe that that's what happened? Or do you believe that pretty much what they're talking about now has always been relevant?
I think he's
Yeah,
been planning
yeah.
it for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all don't believe that the police just plucked him out of the blue.
No.
No,
Y'all don't believe that he was framed.
nope, never. I actually thought from the beginning that he did it because I thought that he, was one of these people that wanted to have like an evil genius moment, get away, commit these murders, get away with them, and then be, teaching at a university and like discussing his cases, his
Right.
kills, with his students and getting like pleasure from knowing, oh, they're sitting here scrambling to try and figure out how it was done, and it's me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like y'all's thoughts, and I like this comment also from Sunflower. She says, "Truly don't think Ramblin knew him from Adam. Between online classes and who she is, I'm sure he was just another name on the roster. Now she will capitalize."
Oh yeah, she's definitely ready to capitalize. She's been
Yeah.
ready since she heard his name, as the person who was arrested.
I reached out to her. I emailed her and I asked her to come up on panel and discuss this, like after, the gag order was lifted. And I said, we don't even have to talk about Koberger. We can just talk about the criminology stuff because I was interested in hearing her take on certain things, right? And you know what she wrote me back? I still have this email if nobody believes me. She she wrote me back, no, I was his instructor and it is federal guidelines or something that I'm unable to speak on him or whatever. And I said, well, that's fine. I could care less about Koberger. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on certain things that this case has brought forth. Thank you for your time and have a good weekend. That was her response to me. So I totally agree that she probably didn't know as much as people have given her credit to know. And that's a good out, you know what I mean? What do you think? Do you
Yeah,
think she knew
I'm
him? You think
yeah,
she
I'm
knew
I'm
him?
getting dogs in, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
You
what did you
think
ask?
you think she knew him as well as she's proclaimed to know him, or do you think that
I don't know because he was still writing to her. He was still emailing her, like even
right?
after he left to sales. So I don't know what those conversations were about or those emails were about, but I don't know. I think she's positioning herself to be the person who writes books about him, like So I don't know. I'm not even really putting too much stock in what she's saying. So because I know she wants to write a book about him, she wants to be able to interview him and whatnot. That's why she
Yeah.
went to the parents right away, and
Yeah,
offered her assistance or whatever.
yeah, Sharon. It was after the gag order was lifted. It was probably a couple weeks after. So I waited, for her to be able to speak on it. And Walt says, "I bet a hologram actually wrote you back." You're probably right on that one. Maybe it takes $50 to make Ramblin' holla. Maybe so. Let's finish this up. This is some good stuff. It's good. It's good discussion material, right, Dolphin?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Is that she said there's no way he can't get his PhD. He's way too smart. We have to give him that PhD at the end of this program. And in a faculty meeting right before Christmas break, this professor flat out said these words, quote, Koberger is smart enough that in 4 years, we will have to give him a PhD. Mark my word, I work with predators. If we give him a PhD, that's the guy that years from now we'll hear is harassing, stalking, and sexually abusing his students. End quote. Just imagine this. This is what they were talking about. The professors were meeting about this together.
So think about this. Whenever the tip line came into effect, you don't
Hmm.
believe that this professor called in a tip, and then you're starting to ask, well, what does this guy look like? Well, he's about this tall. He's about this weight. He's does he have these features? Yes, he does. Okay, let's look into him a little more. Like I said, let's exclude him from a suspect rather than make him a suspect. So at
Maybe if
that
they knew
point,
what kind of car he drove, I
right.
could see
And
that.
then all of a sudden the car is looked into by the WSU policeman, right? And
Hmm.
they find that commonality, all the circumstantial stuff's adding up.
Yeah.
Let
Do you know that a few days before the murders, a guy that was in his PhD program, well, actually, he wasn't in the PhD program. He was pursuing a master's, but he was like one of the older students. He was actually going to report, he was going to try to send an anonymous report to the university about him, basically saying, I think you guys need to, you know, check in on him because he was worried about his, I guess, his mental health. And he did not, he had typed up everything and he didn't hit submit because he wasn't sure that it was going to be anonymous and he didn't want Koberger to come back, at him, like get
Oh
upset.
wow.
Yeah, that's in the James Patterson book.
Okay.
Hmm.
One thing I haven't heard about, and I thought was very interesting at the very beginning, that guy that made that correlation of the internet going down for that amount of time. And if y'all have discussed this at other panels or whatever, I'm sorry. I haven't really followed up on a lot of this stuff. I just, it comes so quickly. But y'all remember when that guy was correlating that the internet went down at U of I, right?
Hmm.
And we've never heard anything else after that. Do you believe that, that was just a coincidence? Because there was a lot of
Yeah, I don't think it had
coincidences
anything to
that,
do with anything. Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of coincidences that night. It was like, wow, like the universe was writing its own horror movie. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There was a lot of coincidences that night. For the police to be a block over, right before he gets there and, circling around and all this stuff. It just, I could see why people would not believe a lot of this stuff, but after the fact, you got to take all that stuff, scrub it away, and stick to what is known. What do you
Oh
think, Nina?
yeah. Is she still here?
I think she's getting the dogs in. Maybe she's not back yet.
Yeah, I just now
Oh, there
sit
she
down.
is. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. There was a lot of coincidences, don't you think, Nina, that night? I mean, all the stuff that was going on. There was a DUI crash and, hit and run right close
Oh
to
yeah,
his
that
apartment. I
right
mean,
outside his apartment.
good God. I mean, could he have picked a worse night, but he still was able to pull all this stuff off? That tells you how easily people do not really look into certain aspects of
Oh,
their
you just
surroundings.
reminded me of something.
See,
What's
I
that?
think that the night that I think that was like the last night that he was going to be able to do it before number one, he was going to have to change his tags over. And number two, it was the last ball game. So it was going to pretty much be the last of the partying before everybody went home for the holidays and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that that's when it came down to, okay, it's time to do it. But I just now sent you another email and it's a video that Unravel sent me, and it shows two flashes of light in the surveillance video, and I've
Yeah.
wondered if that's what Bethany saw.
Well, we'll have to do a part two to this because I mean we're already going 2.5 hours. I really
Oh,
don't
wait.
want to. Yeah, I
Uh,
don't want to. Go ahead.
you said something that reminded me of something. Yeah, I know you're trying to end. Let me just say this really quick.
I'm not
Um,
trying to end it. I'm just saying I'm not going to go like 3 or 4 hours.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not
um,
trying to end it.
what you said about the crash on
Hmm.
WSU's, over in Pullman or whatever, reminded me. So you remember, what was it? They said that in one of the reports in the Moscow PD files, they said that Brian one used Broadcastify to access police scanners, right? So that was like before he left to go over there. And I was like, oh, that's probably because of the accident. Because wasn't the accident like near his complex or whatever? And traffic
Yeah, it was
was
almost like a block
like
away.
in
I think
front
a
or
block and
something.
a half. Yeah.
Hmm. And then the second thing about that is that later he had okay, the police station right down the street. Yeah, right. So he wouldn't have wanted to be showing up in anybody's body cam footage or dash cam footage. So I think he was trying to check to see, if the police were still in the area or where they were or whatever. But the second part of that is the screenshot of the girl who caused the hit and run
Mhm.
on the jail roster, right? And it was a screenshot taken in Yik Yak, right? And I was like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, Yik Yak, because you guys know what it is, right?
That one where people take random photos? Is that one?
It's think Twitter, but just for a university campus.
Yik
So
Yak,
Okay.
you have
Yik
to be
Yak is
within
the
a 5 mile radius.
yeah, Yik
Okay.
Yak's the one I told you about, Gage, that he used and Kaylee and them used, and like she said, it's a 5 mile radius, and
Okay.
it is so accurate that there was a student that was going to do a school shooting, and he was like announcing it or whatever, and they tracked him by his Yik Yak before he could get to the school and do the shooting.
Oh wow.
Right.
Okay,
So it's
continue on.
anonymous, like anonymous. Actually,
4chan.
think of like a 4chan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of
Okay.
like a little 4chan with a 5 mile radius. And
Okay.
usually it's university students, that use it. So then I was like, well, wait a minute, right? So that makes sense, right?
SA
But
Dream.
what'd you say?
I said it would be an SA Dream.
Oh, of course. But what time? I'm trying to remember what time. Nina, do you remember what time was that he did that? Pulled the screenshot.
Oh, golly, it was on the 13th.
It was
And
after
it
the
was,
murders,
yeah,
right?
you're talking about the screenshot of the
Yep.
girl that did the hit and run.
It's in the morning. Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
jail
it's in the
roster.
morning. Yeah, it's in the morning.
Oh, let me pull up this document. I can find it really quick.
I
So
had
what's in
forgot
this
about that.
screenshot? Is it his car or is it him
No,
driving
it's a
up? What?
screenshot of the jail roster of them
Oh,
having arrested this girl. So he either went on Yik Yak and he was let me search for the word Yik Yak really quick. He was looking for more information on that accident. But that also, so that tells me one thing. Yeah, he was looking for more information, I guess, about that accident. Maybe people were talking about it, right?
yeah.
Where is it? Yik Yak. It's Yikyak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. 6:27 p.m. on the
yeah.
13th. Okay. What did I just say about the time? 6:27 p.m. on the 13th.
Well,
That's
his phone
again,
wasn't dark.
that's in the right, right. That's in that dark period. And he was on the phone with his mother
Yeah, so he wasn't
at
dark.
that time.
They may not
So
have known where he was as far as location, but his phone wasn't dark.
but here's the thing though, right? So Yik Yak, 5 miles, right?
Yeah.
You have to be within 5 miles of a campus basically to get to read the feeds, right? So here's the thing. I'm like, wait a minute. Was he over in Moscow hanging around, lurking around? Because here's the thing. I would imagine that he went back over there somewhere and was on Yik Yak trying to see what U of I students were saying about what happened at the house,
Oh, that's
or what the
interesting.
police are
That
saying
is
or whatever.
interesting.
Do you see what I'm saying?
But also in the PCA, it said the phone never pinged after that.
Ooh,
It
I
was
wonder if
off,
Yik does Yik
supposedly
have a
again.
board?
What, like a forum boards or
Yeah,
something?
like a forum board.
Hey, but let me ask you this. Could
Mhm.
you use your hotspot with your phone being dark? Like, can you use your phone as a hotspot and have like a tablet or something using apps like this where it doesn't show?
Ooh,
So
I don't know. I
Where
think you'd have to have your location on.
your Wi-Fi, you'd have to have. So okay, here's the thing. Tablet. I'm trying to think. Could you use your phone? You
you get
wouldn't be
what
able
I'm
to use
saying?
the
Like,
cellular connection of the phone, the cellular part of the portion of the phone. You can use something else as a hotspot. You're asking about the phone itself?
well, like, could yeah, like
The
Um,
hotspot capabilities of the phone comes from the cellular data in the phone. You know what I mean?
right.
So if you don't have it on, then no, you couldn't use it as a hotspot or
I
whatever.
mean,
Or like say, but
could you make it look like your phone is dark and be using the hotspot and a tablet at the same time, or maybe a laptop
okay,
to
you
read?
could turn your phone on in airplane mode, right? So that would
Yeah.
one get rid of the cellular connection, right? And then you could use something else, as a hotspot, and then connect the phone to that. But you still would not have any kind of, cellular
That's
connection
Okay.
like
going.
Telltale.
That
Okay.
would
If
Like
you
be,
Telltale
okay,
said too, you got to consider he could have a burner.
yeah.
but
I've
but
always
look,
wondered about a
but
burner
look, if
or
you
the
pulled up
original phone that he had.
if you pulled up to like a Starbucks or a McDonald's in the parking lot within 5 miles, you could use their Wi-Fi
Wi-Fi,
on the
yes,
tablet,
yes.
right? And it
Mhm.
wouldn't show anything about you.
You could use it on the phone too, but the thing is, he was supposedly on the phone. So I'm like,
Right.
if that are these calls from the 8458 phone, that's what they, were supposedly called in to, be expert witnesses for, was the 8458 phone. So I'm like, I now want to see their report to make sure that
Right.
that's the phone that they're talking about, because
Yeah,
That
again,
because I wonder if it's the
mhm,
phone now that was registered to mother and father.
mhm. You're talking about his original phone?
Yeah,
Mhm. 'Cause see, it's always bothered me from the very beginning when I heard, when it came out that he got a new phone,
right.
in June 23rd, 2022, right before he left, because I was like, there's, just a small handful of reasons why somebody would ever get rid of their phone number, you know what I mean? And, like, because you keep your phone
but
number
look,
for decades.
but I'm thinking like this. Look, I
Mhm,
have an old phone.
mhm.
And if I go and park next to McDonald's or whatever, as long as there's Wi-Fi, I can use that phone.
You can use
There's
the
no,
phone for Wi-Fi calling, yes,
and I can use it for the apps that are on the phone.
through
You
Wi-Fi,
can,
yes.
right. So if he had that old phone still, then that could have been what he did. He
Right,
had
but
the
nobody has mentioned the other phone though, you know?
8458 number off, but still using the old phone as a Wi-Fi phone to be accessing these apps on the Yik Yak or the Google Maps or whatever. I mean, I
Right,
don't
but
know.
they said Yik Yak came from the 8458 phone. They're
Oh,
still,
okay,
you see what I'm
okay.
saying? These people were
Yeah, I
hired
get you.
to
I get you.
examine this phone, and they
I
have
get.
not said anything officially about him having another phone, like a burner phone or whatever. But like,
Right,
Nina said, it's been in the back of, some people's heads that, yeah, what if he had another phone? What did he do with the first phone? You know?
right. Because
Mhm.
I have like 3 or 4 phones that
Yep.
just lay around
Yep.
that I charge up and
Mhm.
use for music streaming or whatever, as
But
long
that
as
would
they're
be
connected.
Wi-Fi though, unless you
Yeah,
still have
Wi-Fi.
an active SIM card in it. That's what I'm saying. You gotta
Yeah,
separate cellular connections, things that would need a cellular network, from things that would need a Wi-Fi network, or
right.
just Bluetooth, you know what I mean? So when they're talking about these phone calls, and all of that, then I'm like, wait a minute, you're looking at his activity on that phone number, what hit the tower, what AT&T has for records, or like what's sitting in his phone log. I mean, and oh, what I mentioned, Wi-Fi calling, sometimes my cell signal in my house isn't so great because I have a lot of trees around, so I turn on Wi-Fi calling all the time. But even when you look at my log, there's a different icon that shows, okay, this was a Wi-Fi call. And if it doesn't have that icon, then it's like, that was a normal cellular data call, you
I
know?
have a
Right.
question.
Mhm,
The screenshot of the roster,
mhm.
the wreck happened in Pullman. Why was she not in Pullman jail?
It says Whitman County jail roster.
Okay, so she was in Pullman County then.
Right, mhm.
I mean, she was in Pullman jail,
Whitman
not
County, yeah,
Moscow.
right.
Okay, so the Yik Yak would have been 5 miles from WSU.
But here's the thing. That's why I was trying to figure out. He had to have either been, because the campuses are so close, right? He had to have either been over towards WSU at that time or over towards U of I, right? If he's at WSU, WSU's campus has probably, talked about, this hit and run. I mean, I don't, they're so close. Maybe some people at U of I, had heard about the hit and run or whatever. I don't know. And we're talking about it. Maybe somebody over at U of I posted this girl's, screenshot or whatever. And maybe that's where he got, he downloaded the roster or whatever from there, took a screenshot of it. So that's why I was like, I wonder where he was. So, but at 6:27 at night, my guess, and because of the other activity that came before, the Costco, the Albertsons and all that, he was like, to the southeast of Moscow
Well, I
at
know
that
the
point.
house that I told you about where I say he
Mhm,
cleaned his car,
mhm,
it's 7 minutes from WSU.
okay.
Yeah, that's not far. That's not far at all.
And that would show up from Yik Yak.
But I mean, okay, so but think about it this way. You've just, murdered these 4 people, right?
Hmm.
You also went back over there at, between 9 and 9:30 in the morning,
With your
and you
mom on the
stayed
phone.
with your mom on the phone, right? You stayed there, somewhere in that area for like 9 minutes, right? Remember that part too? And then you turned right back around and went back home, and then you did your whole shower selfie, creepy shower selfie and all
Oh,
that, right?
God.
So if you've already been over once, I think it was to try to see if they had been discovered yet and the police were there or whatever, and you don't see it. You go back and you do all that. Then you come back to this side of town, like southeast, southeast of Moscow. You're doing all this running around and everything and still talking to mommy on the phone, right? To
Right.
me, as a
Mother.
as a murder, yeah, mother. To me, it makes more sense that he was trying to hang around U of I to find out what all the kids are saying about what's going on there without getting too close. So by using Yik Yak, he could have been on the very, outer
Because,
edge, right,
yeah,
the cusp of the campus, and still heard like all the stuff. Because I mean, it's anonymous. You remember the stuff that was going around on 4chan, right?
right, right.
The stuff
Well,
about the frats and all
speaking of,
that. Hmm.
yeah, speaking of 4chan, I actually found where, okay, like there's somebody that's chatting in 4chan that sounds a whole lot like Inside Looking and Papa Rogers.
Oh yeah.
And
Hmm.
so you go down through there, and then all of a sudden it's you're on a banned account from 2010. And so and the IP address was from Effort, Pennsylvania.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
and
let's go ahead and finish this video, and then we can continue on with our discussion. That
Okay,
okay,
way,
go
we
ahead.
can add what she says.
Fearing. We're teaching this guy, and he's going to be a predator. Look, they talked amongst themselves. They were very serious about trying to figure out ways to stop the process, roll it back, get rid of him. They talked about cutting the funding to his program so that they could kick him out. Not everybody agreed because, let's be frank, he's weird. He's an asshole. Nobody thinks he's a quadruple murderer. So in the end, that didn't happen. What is remarkable about a group of professors deciding amongst themselves if they should pull funding and get rid of a student is that at Washington State University, according to one professor, in all of her time there, it had never been on the table before for a grad student to be kicked out like that. They had never before, in her experience, pulled funding to get rid of a student that they thought was dangerous. And the reason is they believed that he was already stalking people, but they couldn't be completely sure. One professor reported that he had followed her while walking to her car. Apparently, it frightened her so much that the next time she asked for an escort to walk her to her car. And a grad student even reported that somebody had broken into her apartment and stolen intimate items like perfume and underwear, and she was scared. Another grad student remembered meeting Koberger at a faculty barbecue before classes even started. She said he was instantly off-putting, spoke in a robotic tone, and then tried to lecture her about her own research. After that, she avoided him, only making the bare minimum of hallway small talk. And then there was the student who said Koberger would follow people to the parking garage or just linger, standing there uncomfortably after conversations. Things got so concerning, the department actually held a mandatory discrimination and harassment training for all grad students just because of Brian Koberger. But again, you got to put yourself in the headspace of back then. Freaky, weird, odd, mansplains, asshole, domineering, rude to women. But was it enough to get rid of him? So 600 pages of documents and an interview with these forensics experts who, reamed his phone and his electronics. And I am overloaded with stuff I never knew about this case. The fact that he called his parents mother and father. I just remember back to the sentencing where he mouthed to his mother, "It's okay, mother," but then ended up leaving the courtroom, ignoring both his mother and his sister who traveled across the country to be there for him. Didn't even look their way. The fact that a professor believed in the future he was going to become a predator, that they just kept teaching him more and more information to become a PhD level predator. The fact that we heard it's possible Dylan Mortensen heard Brian Koberger say, "It's okay, Kaylee. I'm here to help you." Maybe she changed her mind later in the interviews, but that interview's on paper and she said it. All of this we're processing as I keep thinking about how many sleepless nights Brian Koberger is having now and will have in the future at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution. They're banging on the doors. They're yelling through the ducts. They're taking turns and shifts to make sure the harassment of Brian Koberger goes on all day and all night. The inmates organized this themselves. They knew he was coming and they planned it themselves. And Koberger's asking the guards for help. Wah. But doesn't look like the guards are doing anything for him. And the institution, when News Nation called to ask, "Is it true? What's happening?" They said, "We're aware of Brian Koberger's complaints about the way the other inmates are communicating with him. But inmates communicate like that. But he's safe." Meaning, unless you're getting physically assaulted, you're good. Deal. And Brian, mother cannot help you in there. I'm Ashley Banfield. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and listening. And remember, the truth isn't just serious. It's drop dead serious.
Wow. She's not holding back, is she? She's not on News Nation. She can really speak openly and freely.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about her show? Are you a fan or are you not?
I do sometimes watch it. You're talking about her late night show?
Yeah, this one right here, Drop Dead Serious.
Mm-hmm. I do watch it from time to time.
Yeah. This all was, I mean, the last 2 days have been like, wow, like a whirlwind for me. I mean, because I know that you and the other ladies over on the other panels, Salties, y'all deep dive into this, and y'all are very knowledgeable about that.
Oh, I actually haven't been on anybody's panel in like ages.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that she enjoys reading the documents and stuff. I just don't have time. I don't have the time to read all that stuff, and I appreciate those people that do. And it kind of clarifies a lot of questions that you guys, hear about or read about or whatever, that can give other people clarity rather than to hear, just idle banter. Because to
Yeah.
sit there and have idle banter, that's not really giving any kind of direction toward this case, but just uh, just kind of just sit there and say, well, this is what I think about it. Well, what you think and what actually happened are two different things.
Mm-hmm. True. True.
You
I've
know,
sort of slowed down on, watching other channels or whatever, just like in general. I mean, because since the sentencing, I was like, I just want to see the facts that are coming out. When,
Yeah,
things get unsealed, that's when I want to talk to somebody about this or whatever. New
right.
facts come out. That's when I want to have a conversation. Because, I mean, we've already had 2.5 years of, you know, guessing or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
So Nina's battery died, so hopefully she'll get it charged up. But I really appreciate your insight on what we were talking about tonight and the clarification that, according to your thoughts, that's where things went. And I wouldn't have even thought that deep as far as, thinking I didn't catch that the phone was dark and, the timeline. That's
Hmm.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool that y'all
Yeah. I
were
mean,
able to
because
catch that.
it's easy to forget a lot of this stuff, because there's just been so much, so many rumors, so much other
Mm.
information that's come out, and then, all the hearings and whatnot. But it's like, I don't know. I just sometimes, I'll hear something and then I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute, because then I'll remember something from like way back. So those
Yeah,
type of things, especially when you start talking about the times that something happened or the times that he was doing something, and I was just like, wait a minute, you guys have a problem because in the PCA it says this. So explain that to me. I want to see the cast data. So
right, right. And that all is going to be interesting as well because you know you you just continue to build the puzzle pieces for people that really want to know for their own sake of sanity or whatever, because I understand that people want to know. I get that. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's nothing wrong with deep diving. But to push a narrative that is not even close to what the documents read, that's just being misinformation.
yeah, I have no patience with that these days. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna show
Oh,
a
you're
little bit
welcome.
of a video that I'm gonna do another live tonight about 8 o'clock. I got to go do some working out and stuff to kind of defrag. Um, but you're more than welcome to come and check it out, and those people in the chat as well. You're more than welcome to be here at 8 p.m. Central. And let me show a little bit of it. That way, you guys can kind of get an understanding of what direction I'm going to go because it's kind of like a what do you call that? Remember the movies? You go to a movie and they preview. That's what it is.
Oh,
I
okay.
swear.
You got like a
Sometimes I
trailer.
can't even. Yeah, I can't even remember the simplest words for some reason. I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with you, Gage? I just have so much on my mind. I
Yep,
did
that
finally.
is understandable.
I did finally get my degree in the mail, so
Oh,
I'm
nice.
happy about that. So here's what I'm gonna go over tonight, and this has to do with the blood evidence and crime scene photos and kind of understand it a little bit. So I'll show you guys if y'all want to be around. Y'all come check it out.
Since blood evidence associated with a crime can provide information that may solve the case, it is essential to correctly document, collect, and preserve this type of evidence. Improperly handled blood evidence can weaken or destroy a potential source of facts in the case. Properly collected and preserved blood evidence can establish a strong link between an individual and a criminal act. Blood evidence or the lack of blood evidence can also be used to contradict a witness statement or any statements that the suspect may make. Blood evidence can also point the investigator in the direction he or she needs to go to solve the case. If blood evidence is documented, collected, and stored suitably, it can be presented to a judge or jury several years from the time.
Okay, that kind of it's not just going to be total AI reading. There's also some video stuff in there. So
You said that's 9 o'clock. What time zone?
8 o'clock Central.
Oh, okay. 9 my time. Cool.
Okay, so if you guys are in the area and y'all want to know a little bit about the blood and the investigative portions of it and It's in video form as well. It's not just an AI reading. So you guys be sure to hop back and tell people this is where we try to stick to the facts and stick to the documents and stick to, exactly what our impression is based on our knowledge of certain things. Also, I'd like to give Salty Sleuth. That's her channel, right?
Salty Sleuth investigates.
Okay, Salty Sleuth Investigates. I'd like to give her a shout out because she does good work over there as well. And obviously Nina is Warning Label Nina. Um, I believe that a lot more people need to check these pages out or channels. I'm talking Facebook here. Check these channels out.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of informative stuff. Salty does a lot of work. Nina does a lot of work. There's a lot of channels that you could give a chance to really show a different perspective and actually deep dive into certain areas that other channels don't. And it's a lot more based on the police documents and videos and things of that nature. So why don't y'all give the channel the chance and you know, see what you can find out over there. We're not in competition. That's why I don't mind mentioning these people because we're not in competition. And I enjoy rubbing brains with people that see an alternate theory based on what they believe rather than just creating their own false delusional illusion world. You know what I mean? And none of these channels that I just mentioned do that. So you give them a chance, give them an opportunity to show you a different perspective. You don't have a channel, do you, Dolphin?
No, no. People keep asking me
Okay.
that, and I'm like, no, no. I just,
Okay. Well, I was gonna
because
I was
I
gonna
half
give
the
you a
time I'm
shout out
gaming
too,
while
but
I'm listening to you guys or whatever. But
yeah.
hmm
And also another channel that I kind of like is According to Leanie. I don't know if y'all have seen her
Oh, I've
channel at
never heard
all.
of that channel.
Yeah, she's usually on mid morning or late at night. So she's a good channel too. So if y'all put these links in the chat, that'd be appreciated. Um, y'all go check them out. Y'all go check them out because we're not fighting against the other side as they present it. If anybody has any issues against us, is the fact that we are doing our own thing over here. You know what I mean? I think that's the issue that they have, if anything. You know. So thank you so much for being up here, Dolphin. Thank you for being in
Oh,
the
you're
chat,
welcome.
Salty. And hopefully I'll see you guys at 8 o'clock p.m. Central. Same bat time, same bat channel. Anything you want to say to the chat before I drop you down?
Oh, no, just thank you for having me. And it was so much faster to just come up here and say, what I needed to say than sitting
Yes,
here
yes.
typing and then also reading chat. So I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Hope we'll see you soon.
Yeah, I'll probably see you guys later. I'll be gaming and watching your video.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. You guys that have been watching, please remember to hit the like, subscribe, and share button. If you enjoyed the content, not necessarily have to deal with the creator. You must remember that. It's all about the content. It's not a personality thing. It's about the content, not the creator, not the people on panel. We don't get that emotionally invested in these cases, even though we do deep dive. It's not about our personality, it's about what we present. And I wish people would remember that more than trying to pick favorites because it's not a personality contest. So you guys have a wonderful night. I hope that I see y'all back at 8 p.m. Central. Stay safe and watch your six. And like I always say, Maestro, cue that music.
Welcome to 12 Gage Investigative True Crime Channel. Here we speak on the education, the understanding of the crime, and deep diving into the mind of the afflicted. Justice for the victims by giving the silent a voice. Hope you enjoy.
In a world where shadows speak and silence kills, we chase the truth through blood-soaked hills. Crime scenes cold, but the trail stays hot. Every clue a whisper, every detail caught. Killers lurking, predators hide, but justice walks with us side by side. We don't flinch, we don't fold, we bring the dark stories that must be told. 12 Gage.